welcome to part 2 of Nuclear Dragon. If you encounter any issues or have feedback, please let me know in the comments rather than just disliking the video. Your input helps me improve, and I'm here to make sure you have the best experience possible. Enjoy the content.
Part 1. Chapter 26. However, the temptation of power corrupted Harry more and more, tempting him to use this power more often. In the end, he couldn't resist the temptation. He used the skull to curse his original captain to death. The price for that is that he couldn't move for 10 days. After the captain died, he was promoted to a team leader, but he was not satisfied. In order to become the leader, he cursed the new captain and high-level leaders. After cursing more than a dozen people to death, he finally became the captain as he wished. Unfortunately, the accumulated negative effects broke at once. He laid in bed for 2 to 3 months. In this period of time, several pirates coveted his position and directly wanted to kill him, but he desperately used spells to wipe them out. Since then, all pirates have learned that their captain is no ordinary being. He's a black mage. All the pirates became honest. However, after the 3 months weak period passed, he paid the extra price again, which was unexpectedly great. He was originally in his 20s, but he looked like someone in their 40s. He lost 10 years of his lifespan. This price was unacceptable to him, so Harry became more cautious, no longer daring to use spells wantonly. However, he still recorded all the spells he remembered from his dreams into his diary. For Jones, the preciousness of this diary is second only to the black skull. The magic inside opened his eyes. There's even up to level 9 black magic in it, especially the necromancy spells. It simply opened the door to a new world to him. Maybe he won't spend the remainder of his life as mediocre after all. The god of knowledge and magic couldn't bear to see a seeker like me remain mediocre, so he sent this book to me. Thinking of this, Jones' determination to pursue the magic path rekindled. After Shillong was separated from Jones, he flew back to the island at supersonic speeds. He thought deeply while thinking. Those human pirates just now had muskets. Sure enough, humans can't be underestimated. These are just some weak pirates. The kingdom back on the mainland should have a magic machine gun. Maybe there are even magic sniper rifles, magic tanks, magic fighter jets. What about the attack power of these things? Can my scales defend against magic anti-tank guns? The more Shillong thought about it, the more he felt that humans are fearsome. He should be more careful. He knows nothing about the technological strength of humans in this world. Shillong continued thinking about this matter in the entirety of his journey back. After returning to the desolate island, Shillong, Viola, and Armin packed up their treasures. It's worth mentioning that Viola has a space bracelet with a very large storage area. She put the majority of her treasures in it. After that, she gave Shillong and Armin a space ring each. The space area inside was quite small, only about 1 cubic meter, but it was more than enough to store the treasures that Viola gave them. After loading the treasure, Viola swallowed the bracelet into his stomach. Armin and Shillong also did the same. There is a special independent space in a true dragon's body, the size of which changes along with the size of the dragon. A small dragon like Armin, who is less than 4 meters tall, has a space that's 1/10 of the area in the space ring that Viola gave him. Because of Shillong's huge size, the space in his body is as big as an average room. After the family of 3 packed their things, they headed towards Dragon Island under Viola's leadership. Dragon Island is very far away from the island where Shillong was born. The 3 of them crossed an entire continent and continued flying for 4 more hours before reaching it. This is already very fast. Viola originally estimated that they have to travel for more than a day, but she didn't take into account the anomaly that is Shillong when Viola and Armin became tired from flying. He wasn't affected at all. In fact, he took the 2 of them and continued moving forward at the speed of sound. Shillong estimates that the 3 of them crossed tens of thousands of kilometers. At last, Shillong stopped after hearing Viola, above the endless blue ocean. Armin looked at the clear and endless sea and asked his mother with a confused look. "What's the matter, Mom? Why do we stop here?" Viola scanned the area below them and said with an emotional look on her face, "We are here, kids." "Here? There is nothing below? Is it underwater?" Armin wondered. "Huh." Shillong looked at Armin in doubt, then looked back at the area below. This place is obviously covered by a transparent barrier, and inside is a beautiful green forest. He can already see many types of metal dragons flying freely in the sky. Is Armin unable to see that? Dragon Island is just below, but it's covered by a special magic enchantment, making it look no different from the general sea area, Viola explained. She looked at Shillong. "Baby Shillong, turn into your human form. Your large body and unusual color will scare the dragons below." Shillong didn't think much of it. He nodded, then transformed into a 4 or 5-year-old child. Unlike before, Shillong has an extra set of clothes on his body. This is something that Shillong personally has woven with the leaves from the island he was born on. Shillong, who had transformed into a human form, still has the ability to fly. It's the spell he learned from Jones. He slowly fell on the back of Armin. He has always allowed this kid to ride on his back, so it's naturally his turn to ride on him now. Armin surprisingly didn't whine or complain, but just asked Viola, what about me? Mom, should I also use my human form? You don't have to baby Armin. Let's go to Dragon Island together, Viola said, then flew downwards, stopping about 800 or 900 meters above the sea surface. While flapping her wings, she stretched out her forelimbs, touching the air below her and creating many ripples. As the ripples quickly spread into the distance, Viola chanted a spell. When her spell was finished, the space under her shattered like a mirror, revealing the scenery below. A green sea spreads into the distance. Mountains, trees, valleys, lakes. It was a beautiful, almost dreamlike scenery. The most striking and eye-popping thing is the group of colorful dragons flying around. Seeing this very familiar scenery, Viola finally couldn't bear it and quickly dived into the island. Armin quickly followed her. After the two dragons entered, the previously broken enchantment was instantly repaired. Roar! Viola looked at everything under her with excitement. A joyful roar quickly spread around. Many dragons flying in the distance heard Viola's roar and quickly flew towards her. When they arrived, Shillong looked at the dragons in front of him with curiosity. This is the first time he saw other dragons apart from his mother and brother. There are 4 dragons in total. The largest one is a brass dragon that has a size similar to that of Viola. The remaining 3 dragons are silver dragons. In total, 3 silver dragons and 1 brass dragon. The 3 silver dragons all have a 10-meter-long body. The brass dragon looked at Viola with a look of surprise and excitement. Viola, it's been a long time. As your childhood friend, do you know how much I missed you? Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every month, every year, I think of you all the time. Look at your shiny scales. They're still as radiant as ever. How I missed looking at your glittering mercury pupil. Definitely the best eyes in this world. Inhale, your smell, as fragrant and pure as always attracting me. Oh, how I missed you. Do you? Viola quickly interrupted this sim dragon. Okay, all right, Norman, shut your mouth. You are still as annoying as always. Viola interrupted the brass dragon, but there wasn't any anger on her face, just a smile. Although Norman is always trying to flirt with her, it's true that he is her childhood friend. It's a joy to encounter her childhood friend just after entering Dragon Island. Part 1, Chapter 27. Norman laughed cheerfully. He smiled and slowly flew around Viola. His huge nostrils expanded and shrunk. There was a dreamy look on his face. Viola, your smell is still so familiar. Norman had already flown behind Viola. He stretched his head towards Viola's rear. He had a perverted expression on his face. Dear Viola, let me smell you a bit more. Boom! Before Norman's hand could touch Viola, her tail had already smacked him on the head. Norman cried out in pain as he fell downward. He was able to barely stabilize his figure when he was about to collide with the ground. I haven't seen you for so long. Why are you still so perverted? Are you a dog? How can you jump to smell people's private parts just after meeting them? If you weren't my childhood friend, I would have beaten you to a pulp. Viola looked at Norman with disgust. Her previous excitement and nostalgia greatly decreased. Norman slowly flew up again and came to Viola and said, Oh, Viola, you are too extreme. It's normal to smell each other's private part upon meeting. You know, there's this cute creature called dog that does. Shut up. If you utter one more word from that stinky mouth of yours, I'll beat you up. Viola quickly interrupted this disgusting guy. The brass dragon race is known for their constant chattering. In some legends, it's said that even human heroes were driven crazy by them. It's not a problem if one is stronger than them, as one could easily make them shut up, but if one's strength is weaker than them, then he can only endure their constant, never-ending chatter. One of Norman's favorite activities while traveling outside is to capture some humans and force them to listen to his chattering. Due to this hobby of his, many humans were driven to madness. Norman shrank his head, a bit afraid, but his mouth never stopped moving. Don't be so angry. Viola, let's change the subject, The little dragon next to you and the kid on his back are your children, right? You are so amazing. You actually gave birth to 2 true dragons. They look very young and healthy, but why is one of your children in his human form? What are you teaching them, Viola? Hey kid, listen to your Uncle Norman. True dragons must keep. Shut up, bastard. Viola roared. Just a minute after their meeting, Viola couldn't stand it anymore. You bastard. Haven't you learned anything after so many years? Do you really think I won't beat you? After Viola finished speaking, she immediately rushed towards the perverted brass dragon. Seeing Viola running towards him, Norman screamed and ran away. 2 giant dragons in their adulthood fought like this, just like young and teen dragons. Armin stared blankly at his enraged mother, his mouth wide open and his mind blank. He never expected other dragons to be like this. Shillong held back his laughter and looked at the other 3 dragons next to him. Big brothers and sister, won't you do anything about this? We can't do anything. Norman is our chief. We only need to obey his orders, said the young bronze dragon, his tone extremely plain. Let's go. Leave them alone. Let's first go to the registration office, register your name and age. The 2 of them will come back soon enough. A female silver dragon said helplessly. Her voice was very crisp. Shillong nodded, then mentioned to Armin to follow the other young dragons away. Viola, who was still playing around, saw this and immediately gave up on beating Norman and followed her children. Norman followed behind her with a smile on his face. Shillong and the other quickly reached a huge cave. The area of the cave was very big enough to accommodate both Viola and Norman without any problem. A huge golden dragon, bigger than Viola, and even Shillong, was lying on a huge stone plate. Many thick books were placed in the space around him. The golden dragon leisurely laid there, flipping through the thick books. His white dragon beard dangled around leisurely. After Shillong's group entered, the golden dragon leisurely glanced at them. After seeing Viola amongst them, his expression immediately lit up. He said with a happy and surprised look on his face, Viola? Is it you, Viola? Yes, it's me, big brother Orem. I didn't expect to see that you have become so strong after so many years. You should have reached the realm of legend, right? Viola was equally pleased. She ran ahead of the rest of the team and hugged him happily. Of course, little sister. How've you been all these years? Are you okay with Richard? Orem said dotingly. Richard. Viola suddenly became silent after hearing this name. Shillong listened silently from behind. Richard is his and Armin's father, but he hadn't seen him since he was born. Moreover, his mother isn't willing to disclose anything about him, even if he and Armin ask. Orem also found out that Viola's expression was somewhat wrong and quickly changed the subject. Well, let's not talk about that guy. Do you want anything from me today? I brought my 2 children here to register. We plan to live on Dragon Island for a while. Your 2 children? Well, it's the 2 of them. Viola pointed to Armin and Shillong behind her and said, Oh, really 2 healthy little guys, come here. Orem looked at the 2 little guys with kindness in his eyes. Baby, come here and let Uncle Orem take a good look at you. Viola waved at Armin and Shillong. Armin obediently walked towards them. All the newly born metal dragon races will come here to record their own information after coming to Dragon Island. From now on, everyone will be a family. If are in trouble or encounter any danger, just speak up. Everyone will try their best to help you. Orem gently said. Armin and Shillong replied politely after hearing this. Thank you, Uncle Orem. The brass dragon Norman, who had been silent all the time, suddenly rubbed his hands and said, Since we are all a family, then how about this? I'll call you Big Brother, and you'll give me half of your treasures, deal? Shut up, Norman. If you don't speak, no one will treat you as a mute. Orem reprimanded. I'm just telling the truth. I remember that a little dragon who naively took your words seriously before. So he opened his mouth and said, Uncle Orem, can you give me half of your treasures? Huh. I remember at that time that you were so scared. Your scales turned black. Huh. Speaking to the end, Norman pointing his hands at Orem and started laughing. You brat. Orem was a little angry. The air around Orem started vibrating as golden magic appeared around him. Suddenly, a gold magic circle appeared in front of Orem. Thick tentacles suddenly spread from the top of the cave. These tentacles rushed towards Norman with lightning speed, binding him at once, then dragging him to the top of the cave. Smelly boy, calm down a bit there, Orem said with a wicked smile. Norman was hung in the air, somewhat twisted. One limb dangaged in the air as the other 2 were bound, his head stuck in his reed. However, despite being in such a shameful and uncomfortable position, Norman still had a smile on his face. Orem, I have always been very calm. You have to know that I'm the smartest of all dragons. Do you think this trivial binding can make me surrender? So naive. Look closely at my amazing performance. After speaking, Noram moved a bit. His limbs moved regularly as he blew a whistle in his mouth. Toto-to-toto, fa-fa-fo-fo, da. The whistle sounded extremely unpleasant. Ha! Orem, how about this? I call this the dragon call. Isn't it amazing? Norman said as he continued to whistle. Part 1. Chapter 28. Blue veins protruded on Orem's face, showing how angry he was. Idiot! Shut your stinky mouth up. The tentacles binding him suddenly drilled into Norman's mouth, shutting him up. The rest of the tentacles bound him into a very big dumpling. Shillong and Armin underneath watched this scene with a dumbfounded look on their faces. The young dragons and Viola shook their heads helplessly. Okay, children, let's continue the registration. Let me scan your physical state first. Don't be nervous, relax your bodies, and don't resist the light. After Orem finished speaking, seeing the 2 dragons relaxing, he used a detection spell. Two golden lights flew into Shillong and Armin's respectively. Afterward, Shillong saw Orum's pupils shining brightly, after which a stream of data passed through them. After a few moments, Orum nodded in approval. He suddenly stretched his claws, using his simple gravity speed to grab the thick book and ink cartridges on the ground. The thick book opened on its own and turned to a blank page. Orum stretched out a paw and dipped the tip of his claw in the ink, then wrote on the thick book. Name, Armin Soderbergh. Age, 20. Mother, Viola Soderbergh. Father, Richard Bowley. Body, healthy, in good condition. Dragon species, silver dragon. Name, Shillong Soderbergh. Age, 20. Body, healthy, in good condition. Dragon species, unknown. Reaching the end of the inspection, Orum's claws froze as he looked at Shillong with a look of surprise. At the beginning, he felt that it's very strange that this child keeps his human form instead of dragon form. Through his detection spell, this child's father and mother are indeed Viola and Richard. His dragon species is unknown. Is it due to mutation? It's a rare situation. Metal dragons rarely have racial mutations. However, the 5-color evil dragons have recently produced a lot of mutated dragons. These mutated dragons are lawless and inherently chaotic. Moreover, they are usually much stronger than their ordinary counterpart. The most powerful amongst these mutant dragons even dares to curse their dragon god and ancestor, Tiamat. To be honest, Orum actually likes these mutated dragons. The reason? It's because of the shame and chaos they brought to Tiamat, the evil dragon god. She deserves it. However, now that a mutated dragon appeared on their side, he doesn't dare to think so anymore. If he goes on to curse and bring chaos to Lord Bahamut. However, Orum felt that this child is very polite and kind. He has a very good impression of him. I'll ask Viola about the child's situation later on. Thinking about this, Orum didn't dwell over it anymore. He just gave a cursory glance at Viola. Viola smiled and nodded. Orum also nodded. He put down the thick book and ink cartridges in his hands, then indicated to the dragons in his cave to leave. Okay. The registration is complete. Albert, take Shillong and Armin to a cave in this area to leave. After that, you're free to act. Viola and Norman, and I still have something to discuss. Yes. The bronze dragon Albert suddenly straightened. His limbs closed together and his head straightened as he said with a serious look. I will definitely complete Master Orum's order. Relax. Take it easy. Albert, you don't need to act like this. Orum looked a bit embarrassed. Yes. Albert straightened as he shouted again. Go. Orum sighed helplessly. Yes. Albert turned and left with the other young dragons. Orum glanced at Noram, who was still hung on the ceiling, and flicked his claws lightly. A transparent barrier around him and Viola, completely isolating Norma and preventing him from hearing their conversation. This is an enchantment with a sound isolation effect, Orum said to Viola. Your child Shillong. Yes, he is a mutant dragon. Viola said bluntly. How is his personality? He is a polite and good boy. He knows etiquette and can distinguish good from evil. Viola calmly continued. We will live on Dragon Island for about 10 to 20 years. You have enough time to observe him. That's good. The two dragons quickly ended their dialogue. Orum withdrew the soundproof barrier, then waved his claws, releasing Norman. The three dragons started to recount the past nostalgically. Albert, who had already left, took Shillong and Armin and allocated them to an empty cave, then returned to patrolling the skies. Before leaving, he told the two young dragons that Dragon Island is very big. Don't fly too far if there isn't a need to. They're likely to get lost. Armin and Shillong nodded in understanding. The two young dragons watched Albert and the other three young dragons leave, then started wandering in the nearby area. Soon after, they found a group of dragons behind a mountain. Among these dragons, the largest is a golden dragon with a body height of about 15 or 16 meters. The other dragons are about 8 or 9 meters in height. All of these dragons are facing the mountain with hunched heads and waving tails. Their tail often slaps the ground, showcasing their inner excitement. Shillong looked curiously at them before mentioning to Armin to go and see what they are doing. Just as he approached, the golden dragon raised his head and glanced at the two of them with a surprised look, after which a wide smile appeared on his face. When Shillong and Armin reached them, the teen dragons glanced at them, then continued looking at the mountain with excited looks. They have no interest in the two young dragons. The golden dragon immediately walked to them and said, These two young brothers, you arrived at just the right time. We are studying the origin of mankind here. Are you interested in studying together? The origin of humanity? Armin's eyes shone brightly. It feels so amazing. My mother said that human beings are very powerful. They're the ones that rule the main continent. If he can study their origins, he will definitely be able to deal with them effectively. Thinking about this, Armin hurriedly nodded. Shillong also expressed interest. The Golden Dragon led the two young dragons into the queue along with the rest of the teen dragons. At the moment they joined the queue, the two of them felt like they entered an enchantment. The noise and sound from inside suddenly increased. Shillong heard some strange sounds that he is very familiar with. These sounds are ones that he often heard back in the Blue Planet. Isn't this? Shillong muttered indistinctly. He also heard the heated discussion of the young dragons. Look at that woman. She has such a big butt. Do humans like women with such a big butt? No. Humans like big breasts. Human beings are too vulgar. The most attractive thing is naturally the bright and shiny scales skin. Look at their distorted expressions. They seem to be really happy. So disgusting. After hearing their conversation, Shillong had a bad feeling. He always felt that he is about to see some bad things. Armin is naturally interested in the origin of human life that the Golden Dragon mentioned, so he also walked forward and gathered together with the young dragons. Shillong's vague premonition was fulfilled. The things that all the teen dragons clustered around is a rectangular black stone about 2 meters high and 1 meter wide. On the black stone, a video is being shown at this moment. Seeing this, Shillong was shocked and speechless. Isn't this the adult video that was so popular back in the Blue Planet? The things happening in it can only be described as American blockbuster in general. The strange sounds also came from this stone. This. Shillong didn't know what to say. How can there be recorded adult videos in another magical world? Could it be that as long as there are males full of desire in any world, such a video will emerge? Is it really due to the desire of male creatures? No matter which world it is, this industry will eventually appear, right? Shillong felt his worldview shatter.
Loving the audiobooks? Your support on Patreon helps me keep them coming. Check out the link in the description. A huge thank you for your support. Now, let's dive into the next chapter.
Part 1. Chapter 29. What kind of treasure is this? What are the two humans inside doing? In contrast to the ambiguous atmosphere in the scene, Armin's innocent voice sounded extremely harsh. Cough. This is a video stone. It can be used to record the scenery in front of it for a limited amount of time. As for what the two humans are doing, that's the origin of mankind, the Golden Dragon said seriously. Is it the movements of these two humans? Match with their voices? Is there any special magic? And this magic is also related to the origin of mankind. It looks amazing. I have to write it down. It might be useful when dealing with humans in the future. Armin said seriously. Shillong looked at the silly and innocent Armin and the Golden Dragon that is spewing nonsense with a straight face speechlessly. Although in a sense, the thing that these two humans are doing is indeed related to the origin of mankind, Shillong still felt that these guys are saying bullshit. Let's get closer and watch it together. This is a good opportunity to study humans. The Golden Dragon said righteously, then approached the video stone and started seriously watching it. His giant eyes shone slightly. Yeah, Armin nodded earnestly, and also sat down and started watching. The other dragons glanced at the two small dragons with a knowing smile. One of them even approached Armin and said, "Hey, you two little guys, let's talk about it together. Which part of that human female body do you think is the most beautiful? What can attract the opposite gender the most?" Idiot. Of course it's the scales, skin. This is recognized by all dragons. No. When I wandered in the human world, I discovered that their aesthetics are mostly centered around the face. Don't talk about these useless things. Look seriously. Look, this man is about to finish. How long did he hold? Sure enough, humans are so weak. Ha. A group of live treasures watched the video while talking happily. After reaching the end, the Golden Dragon stood up and started collecting money from all dragons. 1 gold coin per dragon. All the teen dragons paid the money obediently. But when it was Armin and Shillong's turn, Armin said unhappily, "Why do we have to spend gold coins on this? Didn't you ask us to study the origin of mankind together? Why do we have to give you gold coins after helping you research?" Youngling, you really don't know the rules. I'll tell you, this is the rule of the human world. Pay equals reward. I bought this video stone in the human world and paid a lot of money to record these scenes. After watching it, isn't it obvious that you must give me money? The Golden Dragon shook his head and said with a serious look on his face, "Shillong, and I help you study humans. Why should we give you money? In fact, it's you who should pay for us. You two younglings, haven't you been out of your mother's arms yet? Your mother should be the one responsible for all the expenses. If son, then I'll tell you, as noble and civilized dragons, we need to spend money to buy things. Even if we watch entertaining things, we should pay money to the ones that brought us that entertainment. Didn't your mother teach you this?" Aye. Armin didn't know how to refute. He is just a child and one that is still sheltered under his mother's arms. Young dragon, just give the money to Andre. Going by your size, you should be about 20 years old now. Your parents should have given you a lot of money, so it's not that you can't afford it. A teen dragon on the side persuaded. But, Armin hesitated. He didn't have a lot of gold coins. Most of them have been lost while gambling with Shillong. Here you go. I'll pay for my brother as well. Shillong took 2 gold coins from his space ring and gave them to the gold dragon Andre. Armin was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. After receiving the money, Andre smiled with satisfaction. Little guys, it's not that I make things difficult for you. I'm just teaching you the way to survive in the outside world in the future. Having said that, he took out a few more video stones from his space ring. These video stones looked even bigger than the one before. Andre's majestic face was filled with smiles as he said, Brothers, after the appetizer, it's time for dinner. We're moving to the main course. Oh, it's finally coming. We can't wait anymore. The teenage dragons cheered loudly. Andre was very satisfied with the reaction of these dragons. He repeatedly nodded as he said, Say what you want. I'll let you choose the type of film. Do you want to see a red dragon and red dragon, a green dragon and blue dragon, a black dragon and a white dragon, or a white dragon and a monster? Maybe a green dragon and an elf? Speaking of the last suggestion, a lustful look appeared on Andre's face. Are there so many good movies? I want to watch Red Dragon and Red Dragon. They are the enemy of our Metal Dragon clan. We must carefully research them. A brass dragon on the side said with wide eyes. What's the point of this? Of course, we have to look at the white dragon and monster. Interracial, still with that kind of low-level creature. Only disgusting and low-level dragons like white dragons can do such things. No, I have to criticize such a shameful act. The green dragon and the elf looks interesting. I want to watch this. The teenage dragons started arguing about the movies they're interested in. The argument got so heated, they looked like they were about to fight. Shillong watched this face with a speechless look. What do you mean by the main course? And do you do this type of thing often? Yeah. This is just the beginning. It will get even more exciting next. Andre smiled and sailed. Shillong looked at him silently. Is this guy really a golden dragon? Didn't Mother say that all golden dragons are kind dragons with a sense of justice and a strong sense of morality? Aren't they the leaders of the Metal Dragon clan? The true representative of the Metal Dragon's justice. Why does he look so different from what she said? This is totally a rogue dragon. A pervert among perverts. Maybe there's something wrong with my understanding? Maybe because I was originally a human, so I have a totally different expectation of dragons? I really don't understand. No, I'm not interested in your movies. Shillong refused to further pay attention to the perverted acts of this golden dragon. What attracted his attention this time are these video stones. He never expected to see a video recording device in a different world. These video stones, did you buy them from humans? Andre's eyes suddenly changed while looking at Shillong. They became more cautious and alert. What does this little bastard want to do? Does he also want to grab business with me? Don't get me wrong. Shillong naturally saw Andre's vigilance. I won't grab business with you. In fact, I might even bring you more gold coins. Andre looked at Shillong contemptuously. For a little dragon, this guy's tone is not small. Shillong didn't care about Andre's contempt. This is normal. After all, his age is really too small by dragon standard. An adult human would probably have the same reaction after being told the same by a 3- or 4-year-old. Not to mention that Shillong is just a young dragon that has never left Dragon Island. He didn't even agree with dragons of his age or older when it comes to business. He considers himself to be the top dragon in this category. This audiovisual stone can record the scenery and sound around them. This effect can be used in so many different areas. Have you ever used them to record other types of videos apart from these adult ones? Shillong asked seriously. Other types? Andre glanced at Shillong suspiciously. What does this kid mean? Isn't the role of the audiovisual stone to record these scenes about the origin of species? This is the same for even the human world. This is a type of entertainment that only aristocrats can enjoy. What else can it be used for? Andre scratched his head with his claws, thinking deeply. After some time, his eyes suddenly lit up. But they are all magicians recording their magic experiments, and such a boring thing is extremely unpopular. Nothing else? Shillong was a little surprised. No. What are you talking about, kid? What can these stones be used for apart from that? Part 2. Shillong smiled. This is a big opportunity. Actually, I want to buy some blank audiovisual stones. How does an empty stone, as big as the one in your hand, cost? Part 1. Chapter 30. Andre looked at Shillong even more warily. Kid, your ambition is not small. You actually want to buy an audiovisual stone from me, then steal my business? Dream. Go. Don't hinder me from doing business. In the end, Andre waved his giant claws vigorously, trying to drive Shillong away. I've said it before, I'm not going to grab business with you. With such an amazing thing as audiovisual stone, you never thought about making some other types of movies by yourself? Shillong explained. Other, You mean you can shoot some other type of entertainment apart from these scared videos about the origin of species? Are there any storybooks? Let's start by recording videos using these storybooks. Starting from storybooks, Andre's eyes suddenly lit. He slapped his thigh with a look of excitement on his face. He felt like he opened a door to a new world. Since they can shoot this type of video, why not shoot the wonderful stories in those storybooks? If it were these famous and non-adult stories, the Dragon management team won't ban me from publicly showing them on Dragon Island. I can make my business bigger and more profitable. The Metal Dragon clan is a very united social group. Similar to human beings and other intelligent races, the transactions between them also follow the way of exchanging goods and money. There are many dragons doing business, selling, and buying things on this island. Andre is a golden dragon with an extreme desire for money. A few years ago, while wandering in the human world, he discovered this audio-visual stone. The content recorded inside of them immediately attracted his attention. He had heard that a powerful red dragon of the five-color evil dragon clan organized a group of his subordinates to shoot various adult films for sale. Whether it's humans, elves, orcs, or dwarfs, this red dragon became very rich because of this. Andre's sense of business immediately tingled upon hearing this. He bought many such audiovisual stones and returned to Dragon Island, showing them to his friends. Of course, not for free. His friends are all teenage dragons with a lot of energy and a keen interest in such adult videos. In the face of such an interesting thing, even their stingy nature has disappeared. After happily paying the money, a group of dragons watched these interesting videos excitedly. After watching these movies repeatedly, they became very excited. Everyone had a positive review of it, so Andre naturally asked them to invite their friends to watch it together next time. The number of interested dragons continued to grow, and so was the money he made. Just as Andre was happily making money, he was discovered by the management of the island. As the righteous metal dragons, they naturally can't allow such shameless things made by the five-color evil dragon clan to run rampant on Dragon Island, directly forbidding such things to appear. Apart from some hidden ones, all of Andre's audiovisual stones have been confiscated. Since then, Andre can only secretly gather some of his friends from time to watch these movies together. However, this caused his income to dwindle to just a fraction of his previous income. Such a thing is unbearable for the money-hungry Andre. However, he has seen the dawn of the future. As long as it's an indecent movie, it's fine. He will become rich. The more Andre thought of it, the brighter his eyes became. He even started hating himself. Why didn't he think of this sooner? Hey! A teenage dragon interrupted Andre's fantasy. His tail constantly slapped the ground as he said with an impatient look. Andre, quickly play the video. Everyone is waiting. Are you planning to show us the next video or not? If not, then just say it. We will leave. Andre was awakened by the sudden voice. After laughing awkwardly, he quickly turned on the audiovisual stone and placed it in front of the dragon group to appreciate. The teenage dragons immediately concentrated on the video. They looked at it without blinking their eyes. Andre took Shillong and Armin to the side. He is very interested in Shillong now. He wants to discuss their money-making plan together. Come on, tell me more about it. Andre said excitedly. Do you have any human world storybooks? If so, take them out. I want to have a look. Okay. Andre immediately took out some books from his space ring and placed them on Armin's back for Shillong to read. Dragon Quest, My Noble Lady. His Royal Highness fell in love with me. The Wandering Knight. Gray Boy, Snow Boy. Shillong quickly turned the pages of each of these books. His dynamic vision and memory are extremely powerful, far beyond the limits of human beings. It might not even be appropriate to call it reading, as he quickly turned the pages of each book, rarely stopping for even 1 second on each page. But despite that, he remembered every single word on each page of these books. Flutter! This shocking scene caused Andre to raise his eyebrows. Oh, young dragon, can you read books like that? Andre was shocked and skeptical at Shillong's reading speed, but Shillong didn't explain anything to him. Soon after, Shillong's reading session was over. He dropped the books on Armin's back, then gently stroked his chin with a pensive look. The serious and thoughtful look was very adorable on his childish, tender face. After reading all of these storybooks, Shillong discovered that most of them are romance books. The starting point is almost always boy meets girl. This is not the most critical. The most important point is that the protagonist of all these books are males. What the hell is a female-targeted romance story where the protagonist is a male and it's all from his point of view? This is trash. For example, Gray Boy, it's a story about a boy whose parents died when he was a child and was forced to live with his relatives. He was bullied every day and had a miserable life, until one day, a local aristocratic lady was about to get married, but this aristocratic lady was unwilling to marry other aristocrats. Mostly because the aristocracy is too abusive and the relationship is purely that of interest, so she hosted a competition for her hand in her territory. Naturally, The protagonist chose to participate in this competition. On the way to the competition ground, the young protagonist met a traveling mage. The mage tested the protagonist's temperament and found that he was a good person despite the environment he grew in. So he helped the protagonist realize his wishes and gain the favor of the noble lady. Finally, the two of them got married. There is also Snow Boy. It's a story about a boy that is as handsome as an elf, living in a forest with 7 short girls as his neighbors. As the story progresses, they meet a mage who is jealous of the male protagonist's handsome face, cursing him and making him fall unconscious. The 7 short girls finally informed a passing female knight that at that time, after splitting the evil mage into pieces, the female knight saved the handsome boy. Then they lived happily ever after. The more Shillong looked at these two stories, the more had a feeling of déjà vu. Why do these two stories look like copies of Cinderella and Snow White? Others are basically stories about an ordinary man at the bottom of society who lusts for a woman at the top of society, each with a different but similar ending. This may be related to the structure of human society in this world. Shillong felt that only Dragon Quest is normal. It's a story about a young, handsome knight killing the evil dragon and saving the princess. Have you read all these stories? Shillong said while rubbing his brows. Of course. These are the hottest and most popular stories in the human world. In order to study humans, I naturally read them many times. Andre said with a confident look. What do you think of them? I don't like them very much. After all, they are mostly about humans. As a glorious golden dragon, I don't care about human stories at all. Andre said with a look of caution. Do you feel it's boring because you don't feel a sense of substitution? You feel that it has nothing to do with you. Yes, that's why. Andre slapped his thigh with a look of realization on his face. He was wondering before, why doesn't he care or appreciate the masterpieces that are so praised in the human world? But it turned out to be for this reason. Part 2. This young dragon really has some skills. If we change the story for a bit. For example, the protagonist of Dragon Quest becomes a metal dragon traveling the continent. The wizard who helped the gray boy becomes a metal dragon. We can even add a new character to some stories. For example, Snow Boy. The female knight couldn't defeat the wizard. When she is in despair, she encounters a metal dragon traveling through the mainland. The metal dragon helps her defeat the mage. Shillong slightly modified all of the previous stories, adding or changing a character from a human to a righteous metal dragon. Andre's pair of giant eyes began brighter and brighter the more he heard. Part 1. Chapter 31 Young Dragon. There is some truth to your words. After modifying these stories according to the way you said, it really feels better. Is this what you call a sense of substitution? Andre said excitedly. Yes. Shillong nodded with a smile. After adding the role of the righteous metal dragon, the partner of justice, and the powerful helper behind the scenes. This is the soft spot of metal dragons, their preference. How could they not like it? Okay, then let's hurry up and start recording. I feel that I will definitely make a lot of money in the future. Each dragon may pay at least 10 gold coins. That's perfect. These few years just happen to be the dragon gathering time. Many dragons from outside have come back. Hundreds of dragons, a total of 3 or 4,000 gold coins. Ha ha ha. I'm going to make a fortune. Andre cried out excitedly. 3 or 4,000 gold coins aren't a small sum even for him. As nearly an adult golden dragon, he has traveled in the outside world for more than 100 years, and his net worth is only 20,000 or 30,000 gold coins. Now, making just 10 or 20 movies will be worth more than his 100-year-long journey. Andre couldn't help but start fantasying about the money he will make in the future. Unconsciously, a bit of drool slipped from the corner of his mouth. 3 or 4,000 gold coins. Your aspirations are too low. The money we can make is much more than that. Don't forget that we can show these movies to humans outside. That will be our true source of income. Yeah, these movies can also be shown to humans. Those nobles will be very interested. Although they're a bit poor, we can still make a lot of money if we use their large numbers. The golden light in Andre's eyes can be compared to a light bulb. That's not what I meant. I'm talking about the civilians. How many nobles are there? Can they be compared to the number of civilians? Civilians? What the hell are thinking the little dragon? How rich do you think human civilians are? They don't even earn a few gold coins a year. So how can they even pay for the movie? Andre retorted. Then lower the price. You aren't planning to make them pay a gold coin, right? The advantage of human beings lies in the incalculable number. We only need to charge them 1 silver coin or less, and we will still make a lot of money. Think about it. Based on human beings' number, how much do you think we can earn by charging 1 silver coin? Shillong explained. Andre's eyes widened. His brain almost froze. Yes, indeed. How many humans are there on the main continent? Apart from the gods, no one can answer this question. During his journey, he has crossed several countries which countries' population is not tens of millions or even over 100 million. If everyone really pays a silver coin, then I will truly become the richest dragon in the dragon clan. The more he thought about it, the more he got excited. He stepped on all fours and walked to Armin, then suddenly stood up. He stretched his forelimbs and caught Shillong, almost wanting to hug him. Taking a deep breath, he said with an extremely excited look, "Let's start shooting the movie. I can't wait any longer." Shillong, who was caught in Andre's pause, did not panic but smiled. "Of course, but we still have a lot of things to do before starting to shoot. For example, the story we're going to film and how we're going to divide the earning." Divide our earnings? Andre paused, suddenly stiffened. Right? How could he forget this? They still have to divide the earnings. With an ugly look on his face, Andre hesitated for a bit before saying, "How about this? I ate you too, how? Although you have provided the ideas, I am responsible for providing the audiovisual stone and for pulling the actors. The most important thing is that I will be the one filming." "That won't work. Do you want 80% for providing an audiovisual stone? Moreover, you don't have any experience in shooting movies, and the crew isn't hard to find on Dragon Island," Shillong also retorted. "It's not a question of how much audiovisual stones are worth. You just provided an idea. Give you 20% is already due to my generosity. If you switch to a human profiteer outside, they won't give you any money. Maybe they will even catch and sell you as a slave." The two dragons negotiated for a long time, and Shillong emphasized the importance of the director in filming to Andre, but still couldn't convince him. According to Andre's idea, the director isn't that important. They just have to reenact the movie according to the story. So in the end, the negotiation broke down. The two dragons broke up, and each went on their own. Flying in the sky, Armin said angrily to Shillong, "Shillong, you idiot! Why did you tell that golden dragon such a good idea? Now that guy is going to be our competitor. How good it would be if we did this on our own." Armin couldn't understand. How could Shillong, who has always been astute, do such a stupid thing? Once he noticed the business opportunity at the beginning, he should have directly left. Why did he have to try and negotiate with that greedy profiteer? Look at what he has done now. He found a competitor for himself. Don't worry, that guy doesn't understand the true meaning of shooting. Isn't it just a competitor? It's fun to have a competition. Making money is only incidental. As soon as an industry appears, many people will follow the trend. No dragon can eat an entire industry alone, so won't it all have the same result in the end? The true source of the competition is movie quality. With our two brothers joined forces, how can we be afraid of anyone? Shillong stood on Armin's head, clutching a spike along his spine. Damn silver dragons. There is no good place to sit on their back. These spikes extending from his neck to his tail, along his spine, are so annoying. It's not comfortable at all. 1-star rating. What you said makes sense. With me here, no matter what we do, we won't lose. After a moment of silence, Armin naturally agreed with Shillong, a look of confidence on his face. Originally, Shillong was just a bit interested. He has an interest in making movies, not money. So he originally wanted to go with 50-50 with Andre, and even his 50% was originally intended to go for Armin, satisfying his younger brother's desire for money. However, Andre vastly underestimated the role of a director. Although Shillong has never made a movie in his previous life, he has seen a lot, so he does know a bit about a movie's shooting process, and he remembers every detail of it due to his supermemory. What about the dragons of this world? Can they shoot a good movie relying on their experience of watching AVS? Don't make laugh. Even if he takes 10,000 steps back and says that Andre can shoot a good movie. It doesn't really matter to Shillong. He doesn't care about money nearly as much as other dragons. A large part of his movie-making plan is to make movies popular in this world. He can't wait for the day where countless movies and other entertainment emerge in this world. In this way, after reaching old age, he can retire and become an otaku dragon with peace of mind. Won't the days of watching movies every day be good? He just wants to develop the entertainment section of this world to the level of the Blue Planet. This is his goal for now. This boring world without entertainment must be changed. Completely changed. He won't allow this world to go further and further on the evil path that only knows the use of violence. Enjoying entertainment. This is what this world should be about. Next, Shillong and Armin search for other dragons in the sky. Although Dragon Island is very large, there are numerous dragons here. Soon after, Armin saw a young silver dragon whose silver scales reflected psychedelic colors in the sun. His snow-white dragon beard floated gently along with the gentle breeze, and his mercury-like pupils were extremely pure. Seeing the appearance of this dragon, the word handsome appeared in Shillong's mind. Shillong, who has partly inherited the aesthetics of the dragon clan, felt that this dragon is very handsome, mentioning for Armin to approach him. The two dragons got closer. In the next second, Armin shouted, "Brother, do you have an audio-video stone? Can you sell us one?" "What? Audio-video stone?" The young silver dragon was startled, then looked a little flustered. I don't have it. Look for other dragons." I don't watch that kind of perverted thing. Part 2. I don't know what an audiovisual stone is. Goodbye. After finishing, the silver dragon fled with a panicked look on his face. Part 1. Chapter 32. What's the matter with this guy? Why is he so flustered? I didn't ask if he knew Andre. Jeez. Armin looked at the back of the escaping silver dragon and couldn't help but wonder. Shillong smiled and said. A thoughtful look flashed in his eyes. Forget it. Leave him alone. Let's find the next one. Armin nodded. Then the two young dragons quickly found a female bronze dragon. Sister, do you have an audio-video stone? Can you sell me one? The female bronze dragon, who was about to greet them, suddenly became silent after hearing this. She stared at Armin with her green eyes, as if she was looking at a pervert, while hot air escaped from her nostril as she angrily said, Young dragon, how old are you? A small squeak like you want an audio-visual stone? Don't you feel ashamed? You're such a rogue at such a young age. Tell me who your parents are. I want to talk to them. How can they not teach their children decency? Sister, what are you talking about? Why is the act of buying an audio-visual stone perverted? You're slandering me. Armin was also angry. The white mist in his nostrils blew out, causing the surrounding temperature to decrease a few degrees. Humph. Do you still want an audio-visual stone? There is no future for you if you continue to mix with Andre at a young age. You will become a scummy dragon, nailed to the pillar of shame of the Metal Dragon clan. You. Okay. Please stop arguing, you two. Miss, my brother didn't explain clearly. We want to buy an empty audio-video stone. Xylem interrupted the two dragons' quarrels and said quickly. Empty. The female bronze dragon looked at Shillong with a surprised look. What do you want to do with it? You aren't planning to record these disgusting videos. Oh my god, at such a young age. Stop. Don't let your imagination roam. We'll use it to make a movie. Shillong then recounted his plan about making a movie. After listening to this, the female bronze dragon eyes lit up. Her green vertical pupils shone with light, obviously very interested in the ensuing action. She said eagerly, If you want to buy a blank audio-video stone, just fly about 3 kilometers east. There is a valley in which a silver dragon named Embryo lives. He likes to study spells very much. He should have the audio-visual stone you need. Wait, I'll go with you too. After speaking, she happily led the two dragons towards the valley. Soon after, the 3 dragons reached the valley. Looking down from the sky, the environment there looks very bad, with craters of various sizes etched everywhere. It looked like a war happened there. In the middle of the valley, a silver dragon is casting spells. There is an audio-video stone next to him, apparently recording the casting process. In front of him is a cyan golem with a height of 4 to 5 meters. The golem is seemingly releasing earth magic spells. In the next second, many giant earth spikes burst out from the ground. Embryo! The female bronze dragon yelled while landing. Huh! Hearing the loud cry, Embryo stopped manipulating the golem, raised his head, and looked up. Seeing the approaching bronze dragon and the silver dragon behind her, his brows wrinkled unconsciously. Nephiro, what are you doing here? Didn't I say before that I don't like playing with you or kids? Can you not bother me? TCH. Nephiro heavily fell on the ground. She said with a look of disdain as she eyed the earth golem. You just know to study this garbage. What's their use? A slight dragon breath, and it will turn into ashes. As true dragons, our bodies and natural abilities are our most powerful weapons. Only the weak likes to study magic. Ignorance. The silver dragon Embryo looked a little unhappy, ordering the golem to come back. My golem is no longer the one you destroyed before. This golem is made with high copper steel, softened by mercury, inlaid with an earth bear core, and inscribed with the finest grade inscription. Even you might not be its opponent. Ha! You said I can't beat this broken iron? Nephiro was stunned for a moment, then immediately exploded. Then try it. Let's see who is stronger, my or your broken piece of iron. Seeing that things seemed to be going in a bad direction, Shillong quickly said, Sister Nephiro, don't forget our purpose here. Yeah, I almost forgot about business. Nephiro suddenly remembered. Embryo, I came here mainly because of these 2 children. They want to buy an audio-visual stone from you. Oh. Embryo looked at Shillong and Armin behind Nephiro with a look of surprise, then immediately became happy. You two are good and promising. You know the importance of magic research at a young age. You will definitely become a great dragon that is helpful to His Majesty Bahamut. Big brother, you misunderstood. We don't want audio-visual stones for magic research, but to make a movie. Shillong awkwardly said. A movie? What's that stuff? Embryo asked with a confused look. Shillong explained what a movie is and the process required to make it. After listening to this, Embryo fell into his thoughts for a long time before saying, Since a movie is adapted from stories, you should need a lot of props. I have learned sewing, alchemy, crafting, etc. before. You can ask me to do anything. The price is absolutely reasonable. There's also the issue of actors. You can call me anytime. I'm confident in my acting abilities. As a dragon mage, especially a mage who specializes in alchemy, his requirement for money is endless. The instinct and desire to make money have been carved deeply into his soul. As long as there is an opportunity to make money, he will grasp it. That's great, but we are in urgent need of audiovisual stones. What's its price? And do you have a lot? Shillong asked. This is easy to say. Embryo took out a 1-meter-long rock from his space ring. Its width is about 1/3 of its length, and its thickness is only about 3 centimeters. What do you think of this piece? It's 3 feet long, 1 foot wide, and 1 inch thick. I spent 12 gold coins when I bought it. If you want it, you can just pay me 15 gold coins. Shillong looked at Nephiro upon hearing this. Nephiro naturally understood Shillong's meaning. She nodded clearly and said, although I have never bought an audiovisual stone, this price should not be bad. Although this guy is a silly dragon invested in magic, he is still trustworthy. Don't worry, younger brother Shillong. Shillong nodded in agreement. There is basically no intrigue between metal dragons. Most of them look down on doing such a thing, so he doesn't have to worry much about getting pitted. Although Dragon Island is large, there are not many true dragons on it. Few dragons are willing to live on this island with a notorious reputation. Even if they leave Dragon Island and the Dragon Society, having a notorious reputation amongst other dragons is still not a good thing for them. Hence, Shillong happily brought the audiovisual stone for 15 gold coins with hardly any worries. To be honest, Shillong is 20 years old. According to what his mother, Viola, said before, she gave them 1 silver coin a month and an extra gold coin a year. In fact, both of them actually get double that amount. Their mother is really kind. Hence, Shillong has gathered over 40 gold coins in 20 years. Moreover, he still got another 20 gold coins from winning in poker against Armin. He even managed to get more than 50 gold coins from his mother Viola using poker. Of course, he added a rule that prohibits using magic at that time. Therefore, he has a total of more than 100 gold coins. After paying these 15 gold coins for the audiovisual stone, he still has over 80 gold coins, but he doesn't know if this is enough to hire the actors. Embryo demanded 10 gold coins to participate in the actor role. However, Shillong did not directly accept his demand. He proposed to distribute the gold coins according to the total time spent on shooting. In short, they will pay them the money after they finish filming. Part 1. Chapter 33. Back on the Blue Planet. It takes months or even years to make a movie. The reason why this is so is that the audience there has already experienced the baptism of all kinds of bad movies, so they have extremely high requirements for quality. There are also various scene transitions that take a lot of time, traveling around various locations, and even factors such as the fatigue of the actors themselves and the production of special effects in the later stage. However, these metal dragons are different. They are always full of energy, and daily rest is not necessary. They can fly by themselves, so changing the venue is not an issue. No special effects are needed in the later stage. Each dragon is a natural magician, so they can make the special effects themselves. Combining all of this, Shillong can assert that the team's filming efficiency will definitely be very shocking. With 4 dragons gathered together, and with the necessary audiovisual stone, Shillong started considering what film to shoot next. To be honest, in this world, the stories that Andre gave to him were boring and extremely unoriginal, but they are famous and extremely popular stories in this world. In Shillong's view, 90% of those classic movies from Shillong's previous life are incompatible with this world. First of all, urban dramas with modern backgrounds are basically impossible to remake. For example, China's box office champion, Wolf Warrior. How could they remake this military-themed movie with a modern background? Does this world even have tanks? There are guns, but they are nothing more than a toy to any juvenile dragon. After all, the power of the musketeer is far less than Blue Planet's latest edge guns. Another example is Neza Devil is Coming. It's mainly dependent on special effects, its funny and affectionate theme, and most importantly, the popularity of its characters and background in China. Unfortunately, this movie is almost impossible to be popular here. Its gorgeous combat special effects are due to the desire of human beings in fantasy and supernatural lacking environment like the Blue Planet. Hence, it's shocking and interesting to humans back there. However, the high strength of the true dragons will make it impossible for them to feel shocked and novelty at those special effects family drama. Most dragons aren't likely to be interested. Fun and comedy? In the Blue Planet, different countries and cultures have different feelings for comedy. What might be considered funny in a certain culture might not be so in another one. These are just different cultures and countries, let alone a different world. Wandering Earth? The planet under our feet wants to escape the solar system? What is a solar system? Why should our planet escape from it? What? The sun is going to explode? Are you crazy? The gods will never allow such a thing. Shillong can already imagine the reaction of the living creatures in this world about this movie. Is the solar system of this world even similar to that of Blue Planet? Shillong himself doesn't know how this world's solar system works or looks like. What are the wide-range effects of magic and supernatural power on the world? Shillong is far from qualified to delve into these things now. American blockbusters? They are mostly special effects, and special effects aren't really something impressive in the eyes of dragons. After all, they're a fantasy species standing at the top of all creatures in this world. After thinking about all the possible and suitable movies, Shillong finally decided to film a classic story with a small twist. A slightly modified Dragon Quest. Shillong's first movie still has to focus on metal dragons. He has to make money first before making a super magical film or a masterpiece-level movie from the Blue Planet. If he makes a super magic movie from the beginning, but these dragons don't like it, then he will go bankrupt. Apart from the allowance that he gets from his mother, he has no other way of getting money. As for going to the human world to make or rob money, hell no. I'm still young, and the outside world is very unsafe. I have to wait for at least another 20 years before going out. Finally, after taking all possibilities into consideration, he concluded that Dragon Quest with a slight twist is the safest choice. The twist is that the protagonist of this story is a metal dragon wandering outside. Due to various twists, he transformed into his/her human form, then embarked on the legendary story of slaying the evil five-color dragon clan. This kind of story is most liked by metal dragons, directly hitting their G-spot. If any metal dragon can hunt a five-color evil dragon in their life, then that's definitely something worth bragging about. Now that he finally selected the story, the next step is to discuss with the other three dragons. Nephiro and Embryo can solve the problem of props and scene's location. The story starts with the young metal dragon leaving his nest, the princess getting kidnapped from the palace to the final defeat of the evil dragon. Shillong went through all the scenes in his mind, then went out with Nephiro and Embryo to find other actors. These two dragons naturally have their own circle and friends. It's easy to draw a dozen dragons. These dragons are also very interested in making movies. Finally, the group of dragons enthusiastically began shooting the first scene. The location was chosen in the lair of Embryo's mother. This lair is similar to Viola's lair in the previously deserted island. It's like a luxurious palace with piles of gold coins and treasures everywhere. Shillong stood on top of Armin's head with the audiovisual stone right in front of him, record the scenery ahead. At this time, Shillong's face had an extremely serious expression as he looked intently ahead. In front of them, a huge silver dragon at least 20 meters tall is lying on all fours, lying in front of its treasure. In front of this huge silver dragon, there is also a smaller silver dragon, 13 or 14 meters tall. It's the protagonist Embryo and his mother. Embryo said blankly, "Mother, I will leave you today and go to the human world." Cut. Stop. Shillong, standing on top of Armin's head, shouted loudly, "Embryo, what are you doing? This isn't your first try, you know? How could you repeat yesterday's mistake? Is your face paralyzed? Excited. Understand? Your face must be filled with excitement. Now try again. Excited? Excited." Embryo muttered indistinctly. "But I was like this when I left my nest and into the human world before. Why do I have to be excited? It's just a trip out. There's so many dragons around. I'm a bit ashamed to act excited for such a small thing." Speaking of this, Embryo looked around the dragon's nest. There are more than a dozen dragons in the super large palace-shaped dragon's nest. These dragons are grinning. Although they didn't make a sound, they pointed and whispered while whispering, making him feel very uncomfortable. It's you who has a problem. Ignore them when acting. Treat them like air. Air. Understood? Your expression also has a problem. You ask other dragons. Ask them if they were excited at that time. Were you excited when you left your mother's nest for the first time? Embryo frowned, then asked Nephiro not far behind. Nephiro nodded repeatedly. I was very excited in the days before leaving the nest. At that time, my appetite was much bigger. I ate twice as my average. The other dragons also nodded in agreement. When they thought of going out and earning their own gold coins, how could they not be excited? As for being watched by other dragons, Embryo has to solve this small problem himself. It seems that it's indeed Moo problem, but I really don't know why I wasn't so excited upon leaving the nest. Embryo was a little embarrassed. This? Shillong looked at Embryo, somewhat silently. This is just the first step of the shooting. Why did they encounter a problem so early? Shillong looked at Embryo, silently. He thought for a solution for a while. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Don't you like to study magic? Aren't you excited when you achieve a new result, or are successful in studying new magic? Try to think of this while playing this scene, huh? Embryo's eyes lit up. Yes, I know what you mean. Okay, let's start again. Mother, part 2. Today I will leave you and go to the human world to gain experience. I will definitely leave a legend that belongs to me and earn countless treasures. Embryo's expression became more vivid and colorful this time. His face was filled with excitement. Perfect, let's see Ama's reaction. Shillong nodded in approval. The giant silver dragon nodded slightly. Child, go. The young dragon will grow up one day, leave his mother's protection, and thrive outside. Mother looks forward to your future. The dragon mother had a gratified look on her face. That's it. Shillong almost squealed in delight. This Ama is good. Her acting is S-class. Mom, I'm going to part with you soon, but I'm a bit reluctant to leave you. Ambryo's expression was also full of dismay. While saying this line, he thought of the many times he failed while making his golem. What the hell? How did this guy's acting change so much? How can one's acting go from a disabled mess to a super professional level with just 2 sentences? Shillong watched these 2 dragons perform with a look of shock. These 2 dragons performed very well in their first scene. Finally, Shillong adjusted the audiovisual stone slightly and recorded the scene of Ambryo leaving the cave with the orange sunset as his background. The first act ends. All of the dragons walked out of the cave. Part 1. Chapter 34. In the next scene, Ambryo left the lair and flew away. Shillong princesses stood on top of Armin's head, grasping the audiovisual stone and constantly changing and adjusting the angle. Ambryo quickly flew into the sky, getting farther and farther away, until he became completely invisible. Only then did he fly back to the shooting scene and asked with excitement, "How is it? Is the scene good enough?" Ambryo asked. Shillong said with a black face, "Repeat. Why did you look at the audiovisual stone in the end? Didn't I tell you? You can't look back until you completely disappear from the audiovisual stone points of view." Ambryo smiled awkwardly. "Sorry, I won't do this next time." This time, it only took a single repetition before finishing this scene. They filmed one scene after the other using the audiovisual stone. It's not possible to copy the shooting method in the Blue Planet. They can shoot all scenes in the same place using CGI. They can't do this here. The audiovisual stone doesn't have the editing function. They can only use it to record and delete scenes. In the next scene, the princess in the castle will appear. This scene requires a castle. Fortunately, there is one on Dragon Island. Some quirky dragons like to build their castles as their lairs and live there like humans. Those who have this habit are all over their prime and have already tried such life in the human world. Under the leadership of dozens of dragons, Shillong quickly found a dragon castle. After explaining his intentions, the dragon expressed interest in this matter and permitted them to use his castle. The actors needed here are all humans, but there isn't a single human on Dragon Island. Fortunately, this problem isn't difficult for the powerful dragons. They collectively become humanoids and started shooting. This is also the reason why dragons are the perfect actors. No matter what role is required, they can transform into the corresponding race and play it. They recorded the daily life of the princess and her parents, the scene where the princess secretly took her maid and sneaked out from the palace after hearing the many stories outside. The king was furious, and news of the princess's escape from the palace quietly spread. This scene lasted 6 or 7 minutes, and it took Shillong 3 or 4 times to record it perfectly. Finally, the villain appeared. In a lush jungle, a green dragon received news of the princess' escape from a human who was brainwashed by him. The villainous green dragon was played by a brass dragon proficient in transformation. In general, dragons can only use the transformation spell to become humanoids based on their inherited memories. If they want to transform into more species, they must study and develop the transformation spell on their own. This brass dragon naturally possesses the chatterbox quirk of the brass dragon race. When he traveled outside in the past, because he wanted to be able to better chat with intelligent creatures, he further developed the transformation spell, turning into an evil dragon. Even if it's just acting, all Dragon Island dragons had some resistance. In the end, they relented after several hours of persuasion from Shillong. Back to the story. The green dragon who received the news will naturally not let the princess get away. In the eyes of the evil dragon, this is a pile of walking treasures. Without saying a word, the green dragon sent his subordinates to find and capture the princess, then sent messengers to the palace to ask the king for a huge ransom. The time limit is 3 days later. The king was furious and issued a wanted order, offering a huge reward for the head of the green dragon. At this time, our protagonist finally appeared again. After accepting the wanted order, he set off on the road with a group of mercenaries who wanted to make a fortune. After arriving in the green dragon's forest, they had the first battle with the subordinates of the green dragon. But apart from the protagonist, how can a group of greedy mercenaries fight against the subordinates of the green dragon? They were beaten into a pulp soon enough and finally could only rely on the protagonist to open a path. Leading the team to the green dragon, both sides had their own shining moments. The green dragon showed great power and severely injured the protagonist, forcing him to transform back into his dragon form. This twist greatly shocked the useless side team. Under their eyes of worship, the protagonist fought the green dragon for 300 rounds and finally won, saving the beautiful princess. The princess, moved by his handsomeness and majestic posture, offered to marry him, but the protagonist was unmoved, flying away after taking the green dragon's treasures and the king's bounty. The fame of metal dragons of the silver dragons began to spread throughout the kingdom. The legend of the man who defeated the green dragon and saved the princess spread through the entire continent, becoming a tale passed down until eternity. The plot of the movie is roughly like this. Shooting this movie is naturally not a matter of a day or two. Moreover, shooting in the night doesn't match the plot. The dim surroundings don't conform to the nature of the movie. Although dragons can't easily get hungry or tired, Shillong still forcibly stopped shooting at night. The group of dragons originally wanted to go home, but they all stopped because of a move by Embryo. He stopped in front of Shillong and stood up. Rubbing his two dragon claws together, he said with a smile, "Director, we did our best in today's movie recording. Shouldn't you take us to a meal?" The director's title was requested by Shillong. Dragons don't have much demand for such things as dinner. They can eat one meal a day or one meal a week. Overall, it depends on their mood. However, if they want to eat, they need money. As mentioned before, Dragon Island has a civilized structure similar to that of human society. Nothing can be done without money. Don't want to pay? All right, go hunting by yourself. However, the terrestrial creatures on Dragon Island are basically the private property of other dragons. As for avians, in the area 10 kilometers around Dragon Island, there isn't a single beard feather, so their only choice is to hunt in the sea. Hunting in the sea is naturally far more difficult than on land. True dragons are the land and sky overlords. In the sea, even silver dragons of the ice system and bronze dragons that like to live in humid areas will be restricted. Embryo is usually not interested in anything except studying magic, and his food needs are extremely low. Hunting by himself? That is impossible. Food? It's so expensive. He'll rather use them to purchase research materials. This is much more productive. Due to his extreme stinginess and laziness, Embryo usually eats one every few days. Sometimes he doesn't eat anything in a month, hence he requested a meal from Shillong. No matter what method he uses, he tries his best to conserve as much money as possible. All his savings are for research. When the other dragons heard Embryo's words, they all stopped and looked at Shillong. Having a meal before leaving is a perfect idea. Shillong. Well, as a director, it's okay to invite actors to dinner, but how much do you want to eat? Say roughly how much you want. Shillong's gold coins are running out. He purchased various props and clothing from Embryo. By the way, his previous Leaf, Savage-style clothing has also been improved. Right now, Shillong is wearing decent noble clothing. For a research-type dragon, like Embryo, modifying some clothes is a piece of cake. He took an adult-sized piece of clothing from his storage, then used magic to change its size to fit Shillong. According to him, the cloth is exclusively for nobles, so he needed to pay a gold coin. Whether it's the truth or not, Shillong believes it anyway. As a rich true dragon, it's impossible to wear civilian clothes in public, let alone such savage clothes. This, plus various other miscellaneous things, were worth a total of 50 gold coins. Now he only has more than 30 gold coins left, and he hasn't paid the actor's salary yet. Unexpectedly, the investment in this movie is quite high. If it doesn't get popular, he can declare himself bankrupt. And now, he has to invite a group of dragons with big stomachs to eat. Well, Embryo thought for a while before saying, Part 2. If I say food worth 3 or 4 silver coins is enough, that's okay. What about the other dragons? Shillong nodded and looked at the other dragons. I need at least 7 silver coins worth of food. Since you're inviting, then I want to eat more. Your stomach is tiny, bro. I want a gold coin worth of food. I want a gold coin worth 2. The group of dragons shouted, as if the one that eats more is better. Shillong was sweating. Even Armin looked a little embarrassed. Usually, his food is provided by either his mother or Shillong. He didn't need to do anything. He didn't even know that the price of food is so expensive. Mom only gives me 2 gold coins every year. Am I going to starve when I become independent? In fact, he didn't know at all that these stingy dragons are talking about the limit of what their stomach could hold. After this meal, they can go for at least 10 or 20 days without food. Since they aren't spending their own money to eat, then naturally, they must eat as much as possible. They can't waste this opportunity. However, for small dragons like Armin and Shillong, they don't even have enough money to feed themselves. How can they feed so many Stomach King dragons? Compared with humans, a full meal for a normal dragon is worth up to 3 or 4 months of food. Part 1. Chapter 35. Another reason is that the food in Dragon Island is much more expensive than outside. As for the reason, who made almost all dragons in Dragon Island so rich? Generally, teenage dragons have at least several thousand gold coins. Young adults usually have tens of thousands of gold coins. As for adults, even the poorest have 100,000 gold coins. Shillong calculated it. For just a single meal, he actually has to pay for 7 to 8 gold coins. How is this possible? He's just a young dragon. He can't pay this much money. Shillong stood on Armin's head silently before turning around and saying to the eager dragons, "You guys can really eat. Go. Take me to the beach, and I will catch food for you personally." "Hunt food?" a brass dragon said in astonishment. "Director, are you joking? Do you want to hunt in the sea with your small body? You'll be directly eaten by a sea monster." "That's right. Brother Shillong, don't you understand the dangers of the sea? Let me explain. Some of the sea monsters in the deep sea aren't even inferior to true dragons. In the sea, we might not be necessarily their opponents. Even the weak and small creatures are hard to catch in the sea." Nephiro hurriedly persuaded. "Oh, don't be impulsive, little brother. The big deal is that we won't eat your food. Isn't that right, Embryo?" "Yes, we'll solve our food problem ourselves. We don't need to bother Brother Shillong." Embryo sighed and said, "I just wanted to eat a meal worth 4 silver coins, but these rice bucket dragons ruined it. 7 to 8 gold coins. Even I can't bear such expenditure, let alone a young dragon like Shillong. Most dragons are stingy, and it's not easy to make them pay money for something they don't want." Shillong, glancing at the dragons around comforting him, Shillong wanted to agree, but his reason and pride wouldn't allow him to do that. Since he agreed before, won't regretting it now makes him look very stingy? Although all dragons are indeed very stingy, and the kind of iron-headed individuals that can kill for a single copper coin, Shillong felt that he's different. "We are still filming now, and I'm the director. I can't leave them a bad impression. This will hinder our next cooperation." So he just smiled and said, "Don't worry. I learned spells from a human mage when I was very young. The old man said I was a magic genius. I also often hunt and solve food problems by myself. Hence, I have developed special hunting skills." "Still a no." Nephiro refused adamantly. She didn't believe a single word of Shillong. "Okay, that's it for today. Scatter now. We gather here tomorrow morning to continue filming." At the end, Nephiro waved her hand, driving these dragons away. Then, without waiting for Shillong to say anything, she flew away with a flash. Embryo and the other dragons also understood her meaning, scattering away one by one. "Shillong! What a group of good dragons." Armin also breathed a sigh of relief. "It's great. Fortunately, they are gone. Otherwise, it will be troublesome. Just a meal is so expensive." At the end, Alman paused. He hung his head slightly as he whispered, "Shillong, thank you for providing me with food for so long." When Shillong heard this, he smiled heartily. His son or little brother can act cute after all. Where did this politeness come from? "Kid, I'm your big brother. Isn't it natural for a big brother to take care of his younger brother? How many times did I say this? I'm the big brother. Don't be proud of your big size, Shillong," Armin retorted. Shillong glanced at the last rays of the sunset. The sun is almost out of sight, and the night is about to completely engulf this land. "Let's go. Go back. Mother should already be waiting for us. Let's go. I want to see my mother." After Armin finished speaking, he shook his giant wings and quickly flew into the sky. Returning to their new nest, their mother Viola was already waiting outside the cave. Upon seeing the approaching Armin and Shillong on his back, she smiled and said, "Where did you two little guys go to play? Why did you come back so late?" "We went to film," Armin replied excitedly, eager to show off in front of his mother. "Filming?" Viola wondered. "Yes, it's filming. Mom, let me tell you, filming is..." Armin excitedly explained to his mother. It wasn't until he finished his explanation that Viola nodded and said, "It looks good. This is a new thing. As long as the movie you're talking about isn't too bad, I believe that all dragons won't be stingy with their gold coins. So, we are getting rich." "Mom," Armin said excitedly. "Then congratulations to both of you. This is something you invented. Mom is very happy." Viola smiled lovingly. "Hee." Armin smiled with a silly look on his face. Then his face suddenly became downcast. "Unfortunately, this fool Shillong explained how to make a movie to a golden dragon called Andre. That golden dragon is also making a movie now." "Oh." Viola glanced at Shillong with a look of surprise. Shillong said helplessly, "Why are you bringing this up again? Didn't I tell you before? Making a movie requires skills. Not anyone who wants to make it can make it. Anyway, as long as the first movie is broadcasted, there will be a large number of dragons on Dragon Island to copy us." "I know," Armin replied seriously. "I just reported the fact to Mom. I didn't say anything bad about you." Viola heard this and nodded gently. Shillong's words are very reasonable. If his movie really earns a lot of gold coins, other dragons will definitely follow. "As expected of Mom, you're so wise." Shillong praised his mom without hesitation. Viola squinted happily, gently stroking Shillong's head. Her huge claws were much larger than Shillong's body, so she took them back after a slight rub. Seeing this, Armin was a little jealous. He quickly said, "Of course, Mom is the wisest in the world, the most beautiful, and the greatest dragon of all time. Little Armin is also the best in the world, the absolute cutest." Viola also stroked Armin's head with a smile. Armin narrowed his eyes comfortably and quietly gave Shillong a provocative look from an angle that Viola couldn't see. "This silly boy." Shillong smiled wryly and shook his head inwardly. "Who wants to snatch maternal love from you?" Armin enjoyed the caress of his mother for a while. While spoiling her youngest child, Viola opened her mouth and said, "My children, you will live here in the future. I will live on the mountain next to you. Come with me. I'll take you to see your mother's residence." Upon hearing this, the two little dragons flew over with Viola. This time Viola's cave is in the middle of the mountain. It's quite comfortable to stand at the entrance of the cave and look at the forest at the foot of the mountain. After getting acquainted with this place, Shillong and Armin bid farewell to their mother and flew back to their lair to rest. After Shillong went back, he discovered that there was nothing in the lair. Taking a look at their empty cave, they jumped back into the forest again and began the logging journey. After cutting down a tree, Shillong cut out a plank and took it back to the cave to sleep. Originally, he wanted to make an animal skin, but unfortunately, the beasts here are all the property of true dragons, so he could only give up. The next day, when the sky was slightly bright, Shillong got up. After that, he woke Armin up and dragged him to the beach. Looking at the endless blue sea, Armin asked curiously, "You really want to go hunting in the sea? Didn't they say they don't want to eat?" "I don't care about what they said. Since I said that I'll invite them to eat, then I'll do it. I'm a dragon of my words." Shillong said, "But have you been to the sea before? They said there are sea monsters as powerful as true dragons." Armin said with a look of worry. Part 1. Chapter 36. Shillong smiled at this and said with a funny look on his face, "Both of us are true dragons, but with our size and power difference, are we still the same? True dragons can be greatly different, so you can't generalize it." Armin looked at Shillong, who is just the size of his palm in his human form, and said with a blank face, "Okay, then go." He doesn't want to talk to this bastard. Is it amazing to grow to such size? Damn it, it's really amazing to be so big. Shillong nodded and jumped into the sea. Once he completely hid his body underwater, he quickly transformed back. His cute face and small body quickly expanded and deformed. Boom! Huge waves exploded on the calm sea surface as a huge true dragon appeared underwater. Shillong slowly opened his huge and shiny eyes. His eyes weren't affected in the slightest underwater. He could clearly see everything in the distance. Groups of small fishes around fled frantically after Shillong appeared. They felt an extreme threat. Shillong glanced above. He's only about 10 meters away from the water surface. He shook his huge body and swam to the depth of the ocean. After reaching a depth of hundreds of meters, the number of creatures in the ocean has increased significantly. The size of marine creatures and fish has also grown a lot bigger. With his super sight, Shillong has seen many 3 to 6 meters long fish in a radius of several thousands of meters. Continuing to dive, after reaching a depth of a kilometer, the creatures in the ocean are already over 10 meters long. Their size has already reached the basic standard of teenage dragons. These marine creatures include the famous sharks in Shillong's previous life, as well as octopus, sea snakes, giant lobsters, crabs, and other creatures. There are also some deformed monsters, such as sea snakes with wings, weird fish with dark blue tentacles on their heads, and giant sea horses with rocky skin. These creatures are no longer so afraid of Shillong's own breath. Some of them are leisurely swaying not far from him, and some are fighting and hunting in the sea. Seeing this scene, Shillong naturally swam towards the nearest sea snake, which is only about a few hundred meters away. When he reached a distance about 100 meters away from it, the sea snake seemed to be stimulated. It immediately turned around and swam away with a flash. Shillong wanted to catch up, but even if he waved his limbs desperately, the water passed between his claws, giving him weak traction. Hence, despite his powerful muscles waving, his speed wasn't so fast. Finally, he could only watch the sea snake escape to the distance. At this moment, he finally understood why it was difficult to hunt in the sea. However, Shillong did not give up. He changed his target and swam toward the giant lobster. After Shillong approached, the giant lobster also twisted its body and fled to the distance. Shillong waved his limbs underwater and chased behind. The lobster's speed wasn't impressive, but Shillong couldn't get closer at all. Shillong felt very anxious and angry. Since his birth, he has never encountered such trouble. Whether it's on land or the sky, as long as he uses his power, his speed can casually exceed the speed of sound. No matter what type of creature it is, they can only surrender themselves as his prey. However, he is now feeling helpless for these underwater creatures. The anxious Shillong instinctively used the biological engine, causing a red flame to extend from the end of his wings. A pillar of scarlet gold flames unexpectedly appeared underwater. Whoosh! The water near his wings was boiling. Holy! My flames can still be used underwater. Shillong looked overjoyed. His entire body was propelled forward due to the pushing force of the flame, moving forward at a rapid pace towards the lobster, leaving a white trail behind him. The distance between the two was getting closer and closer. A triumphant grin gradually appeared on Shillong's face. Bastard lobster, weren't you teasing me just now? See how I'll pinch you to death. Within a few seconds, Shillong caught up with the lobster. This strange lobster is covered in armor with a sharp horn on top of its head. Shillong's left claw grabbed the sharp corner of the lobster, stopping its movement. Feeling the terrible aura of death destruction around it, the lobster instinctively felt extreme danger. It neighed weirdly, extending and opening its two huge pliers. The sharp, jagged spikes along the 7 meters long pliers extended toward Shillong's hand, then strongly clenched. With that tremendous force, Shillong has no doubt that this lobster can instantly pinch trees into 2 pieces, maybe even steel. But Shillong's scales are much stronger than steel. The scales pinched by the 2 pliers just moved a bit, then no more. Shillong didn't even feel anything. It almost felt that this lobster was just holding his hands, maybe a handshake. Shillong's claws were not affected at all. His left claw grasped the horn of this lobster and stopped it. His right hand gently grasped the lobster's head. Then his long and sharp claws gently pierced its head. The lobster's steel-like shell was easily pierced by Shillong, just like piercing a piece of paper. Shillong's claws were inserted into the lobster's brain, stirring it gently. The lobster struggled frantically, but it was all in vain. After stirring a few more times, the lobster finally stopped moving. The first food capture was successful. Shillong did not continue hunting, but turned around and headed towards the sea surface. Upon reaching the area near the beach, he waved his arm forcibly. Splash! The lobster broke through the sea surface and smashed straight into the ground. Armin on the coast looked at this lobster several times bigger than him, falling from the sky and straight into the ground, shaking the ground a bit and creating a huge crater. It's so big, he muttered indistinctly, then cast his gaze back to the surface of the sea. With his dragon vision, he barely saw a huge dragon diving downward, completely disappearing. I'm really stupid. I really shouldn't have worried about that big guy. In the next period of time, it was like a seafood rain. Every 1 or 2 minutes, a huge sea monster, at least 10 meters long, was thrown out of the sea. One after the other, they were thrown like dumplings on the coast. Overall, more than a dozen sea monsters were thrown on the coast in total, corresponding to the number of real dragons that took part in the shooting. In the end, a huge black shadow appeared on the water surface again. But it quickly became smaller, so small that it looked like a kitten in front of an elephant in contrast to the huge shadow before. A child suddenly jumped out of the sea, bridging a splash of water along with him. He was Nake. After falling beside Armin, he shook his body, then urged the fire energy in his body, evaporating the water sticking on him. Afterward, he slowly wore a luxurious dress, looking like a noble child in the end. Did you choose your food, Armin? We'll pick one of these things first and give the rest to Nephiro and the other dragons. Yeah, just this one. Anyway, it's enough for me to eat for a long time. Armin nodded. Shillong smiled, then jumped back on top of Armin's head. Let's go. Let's call Nephiro and the others to come over for a meal. Since I promised, then I must fulfill my promise. This is my virtue. Armin nodded upon hearing this, then quickly flew towards the distance. The 2 dragons returned to the previously agreed place. Nephiro and 3 other dragons were already waiting there. 10 other dragons haven't arrived yet. Previously, they agreed to gather together at dawn, but except for a few, most dragons' concept of time is relatively weak. Who knows when the others will come? My bitinun. Shillong didn't want to wait any longer. He talked a bit to Nephiro, then told them to scatter and bring the other dragons back. These dragons have lived on Dragon Island for a long period of time, so they naturally know where the other dragons live. After waiting for a while, all the dragons who participated in making the movie yesterday have arrived. Nephiro clamored to immediately start working. She hasn't had enough of playing the princess. She's addicted to this role. Okay, that's right. She plays the human princess, the heroine, a naughty, frank, and fanciful girl. Part 1. Chapter 37. In response, Shillong smiled mysteriously. Let's go to a place first, then come back and shoot again. Although the group of dragons was a little confused, they still followed Shillong. The group of dragons quickly flew to the shore. They could see the more than a dozen sea monsters' bodies from afar. After landing, one of the brass dragons excitedly said, "Food! So much food! How did they land on the shore? Could it be that they killed each other and were washed up?" Idiot! Sea monsters of this level are at least 1 kilometer below the sea surface. How could they wash up to this place? Nephiro retorted, then turned her sight back to Shillong. Brother Shillong, is this? Shillong grinned and said, I just fulfilled my promise. This is today's treat. Didn't I tell you? I have special hunting skills. The group of dragons heard this and looked at each other. Nephiro muttered indistinctly. How'd this little guy do it? Special hunting skills? What special skills? Thinking for a long time. Finally, her eyes lit up. He must have called his parents. His parents are adult dragons, so hunting sea monsters of this level shouldn't be difficult for them. After they split yesterday, this little guy Shillong called his parents. This little guy felt that since he promised us, he must fulfill his promise, so yesterday he begged his parents. After working all night, they finally hunted these dozens of sea monsters to show off to them. It must be so. I'm a genius, Nephiro thought narcissistically. But his parents are not ordinary dragons. Even if it's an adult dragon, it's not easy to hunt giant monsters at the depth of 1 kilometer. It seems that only a few bronze and silver dragons on Dragon Island can do it. Nephiro quickly understood the other dragons, also understood after a bit of thought. The group of dragons winked at each other, then said with a grateful expression, Thank you, Director Shillong. You really are a good dragon who takes his promises seriously. All dragons had a tacit understanding and did not break Shillong's act. Shillong smiled and said, You have worked hard in acting too, so this is only natural. Okay, the things you want to hear. Everyone take a sea monster and eat it quickly. We have to rush back to continue filming. Filming is still the most important thing. Let's leave these monster bodies here first. Nephiro said. Embryo suddenly released an ice dragon breath to keep the sea monsters fresh. Then the group of dragons left and continued filming. Perhaps today's food rewards have played a role, as all dragons have worked harder and made fewer mistakes. The group of dragons finished filming a scene that should have taken 2 days in a single day. As the sun set, the dragons did not leave, but transformed into their human form and watched the movie on the audiovisual stone together. Embryo looked at the picture of himself and his mother bidding farewell. Then his excitement as he started his legendary journey, and nodded unconsciously. I didn't expect that I had such a talent for acting. The screen quickly jumped to the scene of the princess's escape. Nephiro looked at her performance and laughed cheerfully. This is the princess role I played. Don't you think I look like a true princess in the human world? Yeah, no. The princesses I've seen are quite quiet and elegant, not as restless as you. Each one of these dragons is at least close to 100 years old. They have traveled in the outside world for many years and have met princes and nobles from many countries. All right, everyone be quiet. The movie is still going on. Shillong interrupted their incessant ramblings. Having experienced the relationship between an actor and a director, the group of dragons couldn't help but shut their mouth upon hearing Shillong words. All the dragons watched quietly. Many dragons saw themselves in their human forms, either as the hero party or the subordinates of the villain. Until the end, the protagonist defeats the green dragon, rescues the princess, and leaves after obtaining the promised treasure. The movie ends. Shillong led the team to applaud. The enthusiasm of the dragons just broke out. This is so beautiful. This interrupted movie isn't comparable to the things I watched before at all. That's right. Look at the jackal leader I played. Isn't it realistic? This race is cunning and wretched, and my acting was perfect for it. The human captain I played is quite interesting. I showcase human arrogance to perfection. This story is really good, especially, in the end, the 5-color evil dragon is defeated and the goodness and prowess of our metal dragon clan are promoted. The dragon group discussed with each other for a long time. Shillong interrupted their conversation, clapped his hands, and said, Okay, the movie is over. Starting tomorrow, we will start broadcasting it. Every dragon needs to pay gold coins to watch. I'll give everyone a benefit. Starting from tomorrow, for the next 10 days, every time you bring a dragon to watch, I will give you 2 gold coins. This is only valid for the next 10 days. Pulling our dragon friends to watch together and get gold coins? A dragon said with a look of excitement. Originally, we were planning to invite our friends to watch together. I never expected that we'll get gold coins for it. Hey, let's go. I'm going to invite my friends tonight, and tomorrow I will definitely bring a large number of dragons to watch the movie together. But isn't 4 gold coins a bit too much to watch the movie a single time? What's so expensive? Doesn't that bastard Andre ask for 5 gold coins every time we go watch his adult movies? A dragon couldn't help but say. The moment he spoke, silence suddenly surrounded the dragon group. All the dragons looked at the dragon who just talked quietly. Nephiro and the other female dragons looked at him like looking at trash, like something dirty. Disgusting. I heard about it from other dragons. I swear that I haven't seen it. The scales of this already reddish bronze dragon turned even redder. All the dragons in that area looked at him with contempt. You have to believe me. We are partners who participated in making this movie together. The bronze dragon said pitifully. Forget it. I'll believe you for once, Nephiro said softly. The dragon group finally restored their previous atmosphere. A certain brass dragon suddenly said, "Oh, didn't the director say that we will be paid after the shooting?" All dragons became quiet upon hearing these words again. They turned their eyes to Shillong. Shillong nodded. "Yeah, you have been working for 2 days, so it's natural to get paid. Let's talk about salary. If it's reasonable, I will definitely give it." "Well, this salary is generally calculated according to age and strength. I am close to adulthood, so I require 2 gold coins a day. Considering that I worked for 2 days, then it's 4 gold coins." Nephiro took the lead. "I am an adult silver dragon. My working price is 3 gold coins a day," Embryo said. The other dragons also spoke up one after the other. Finally, after counting, Shillong discovered that he needed to pay 74 gold coins and 4 silver coins. He certainly doesn't have this money now, so he spread his hands and said, "I will definitely give everyone their salary, but now I can't get the money. After the film is released and we get our first turnover, I'll pay you, okay?" "Of course you can. Don't worry, little director Shillong," Nephiro said with a grin. The other dragons didn't embarrass Zero. Everyone was very easy to talk to. Finally, all dragons flew back to the beach, grabbed their prey, and flew back to their residence. It's worth mentioning that each one of these dragons is quite powerful, and flying with prey weighing dozens to 100 tons isn't difficult. The other dragons all flew away, but Nephiro and Embryo did not leave. They insisted on helping Shillong and Armin take the food back to their nest. Shillong naturally did not refuse. Hence the 4 of them quickly set off back to Shillong and Armin's nest. The sky was dark, but the dragon's eyes have very powerful night vision capabilities. From quite a distance, the 2 small dragons could see a huge figure lying at the entrance of their nest. Part 1. Chapter 38. This huge figure is naturally Shillong and Armin's mother, Viola. "Mom!" When the 4 dragons fell in front of the cave, Shillong and Armin immediately said. When Nephiro and Embryo heard this, they respectfully greeted her, calling her big sister. Viola smiled and nodded. "Shillong, Armin, won't you introduce your friends to your mother?" "Mom, this is Sister Nephiro." Armin raised his claws and pointed at Nephiro. Then he pointed to Embryo and said, "This is Uncle Embryo, who created the movie with us." "I see. Thank you for taking care of my children, Nephiro and Embryo." Viola smiled. Then her sight moved to the huge sea monster bodies that Nephiro and Embryo are carrying. "This is..." Boom! Nephiro put down the body of the sea monster, raised her eyebrows, and winked at Viola before talking. "This is the sea monster that Shillong personally hunted. It was on the coast, so we personally helped him bring it back." Nephiro emphasized the word personally. At the same time, she raised her eyebrows and kept winking, trying to imply something. Viola glanced at Shillong, then back at Nephiro, who was still smiling and raising her eyebrows and also smiled. "Thank you for that." "You're welcome. You're welcome." Nephiro quickly waved her claws. "Mom, why are you waiting for us here?" Shillong couldn't help asking. He knew that his mother had explained everything to them yesterday, and she shouldn't come to them again if she had nothing to say. "This is related to your movie making," Viola said. "You told me before that Andre knew about the movie making process. He finished filming this morning and invited a lot of dragons to watch it." "Huh?" Nephiro raised her eyebrows. "Why are there other dragons making movies besides us?" "It's Shillong," Armin said angrily. He couldn't help but cast a blaming look at Shillong. Shillong, who was standing on Armin's shoulders, shrugged and helplessly explained the matter. The 2 dragons patiently listened to the explanation. Neferu gritted her shark teeth angrily and said, "Andre is the shame of the noble golden dragons. Making these disgusting videos is shameful enough. How dare he copy us? It's really hateful. Now, what can we do with our movie?" Her tail started subconsciously slapping the ground due to her intense emotions, splashing a lot of rubble around. "We can't do anything about it now. We can only do our best," Embryo calmly said. "He can make any movie he wants. This is not the point. The point is what story he filmed. What is its quality? Mom, have you ever seen it?" Shillong calmly analyzed, then asked his Viola. "I've seen it. In order to help you, your mom still went to see it. They filmed a novel called Gray Boy. In terms of quality, I don't know how to describe it. It felt weird." Viola thought for a moment and said, "Weird," Shillong muttered to himself. With the novelty of the movie concept, it's understandable for Viola to be unable to rate it. "Then do you think that that movie is worth spending 5 gold coins to watch?" "It's not worth it. Your mom regretted it. It's 5 gold coins. It's enough for me to give both of you your yearly pocket money, and there will still be extra. Every time I think of this, my heart hurts." Viola wailed sadly, her hand holding her chest. The 4 dragons. "Mom, pay attention to your image. Mom!" Armin looked at Viola with wide eyes. "Then, did many other dragons see it?" Shillong continued to ask. "Well, There were not many with me at the time, probably only 6 or 7 dragons. What about after they watched it? Did you share your thoughts? They don't seem to be satisfied. They didn't think that the movie was entertaining. A teenage dragon even asked Andre to refund his money. This shows that their movie quality is not good. Shillong affirmed. As long as the quality is not good, there won't be too many dragons watching their movies. Since even some dragons asked for a refund, then Mom, their movie is finished. Why is this? Armin asked curiously. The other dragons also looked at Shillong, waiting for his answer. This is the importance of quality. After watching it, those who find it uneconomical will definitely tell their relatives and friends. Not to mention that there are still people asking for a refund. If that teenage dragon can't get his money back, he will definitely promote the fact that Andre's movie is rubbish. Although Dragon Island is big, how many dragons are there in total? Everyone is acquainted with each other, so just a few bad reviews may ruin a movie, let alone that 100% of the dragons that watched the movie didn't like it. So, their movie is over. Maybe not a single dragon will go watch it tomorrow. Shillong replied confidently. For him that had been browsing the internet for so long in his past life, he is very clear about the effect of one-sided bad ratings. The other 4 dragons felt that Shillong's statement is very reasonable, nodding in agreement. In fact, Shillong is still a little puzzled. Why did that guy Andre shoot such a thing such as Grey Boy? How can this kind of movie have the same effect as Dragon Quest on Dragons? Not to mention the quality. It's crystal clear about whether dragons will like a story that glorifies them and another that is about the romantic life of a human. But what Shillong didn't know was that Grey Boy is the most popular book in the place where Andre bought these storybooks. Mom, take a look at our movie and compare it with Andre's. Shillong said as he took the audiovisual stone and started playing the movie. The opening dragon's nest parting immediately attracted Viola's attention. A young dragon journey to the outside world for the first time. The eagerness to start his new adventure and the sadness of parting with his mother and leaving the nest he was born in. As a silver dragon mother, Viola's eyes were reluctant to move from the screen. What a perfect scene. Viola could not help but substituting herself into the role of the protagonist's mother and sighing with sadness as the protagonist left his mother. The story goes on, scene by scene, and everything is in order. Viola remembered the scenes of her journey through the outside world, bringing her even closer to the story and causing her to engage more with it. Each scene was seamlessly connected, causing her to almost think that this is a real story. The plot is very natural and concise, unlike Andre's fragmented and confusing movie. In the end, the protagonist defeated the green dragon and got his desired treasure. Clap, 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 clap. Viola couldn't help but lean back. She squatted on the ground and heavily clapped her hands, showcasing her admiration and love of this movie. She looked very pleasantly surprised. Shillong, this movie is really great. It feels so real to me. It's like personally recording the journey of a silver dragon, traveling through the outside world with an audio-visual stone. I'm sure everyone will like this movie, especially the moment when the green dragon was finally defeated and the protagonist obtained the treasure. I seem to remember my childhood dream again. Hey, big sister, did you see that princess? It's I who played it? What do you think of it? Before the other dragons could speak, Nephiro said with a look of pride. It's great, just like the princess of the human world. Viola said with a look of admiration, then looked at Embryo again. Embryo, the protagonist you played, is also very good. When Embryo heard this, he grinned with an embarrassed look on his face. His claws scratched the ground subconsciously. Then, Mom, do you think this movie is worth 5 gold coins? Shillong said. Worth it. Absolutely worth it. Viola affirmed. Then how is it compared to Andre's movie? Compared to what my little baby made, Andre's movie is like dog poop. It's still the kind of disgusting one that has been exposed to air for months. It's extremely stinking. Viola recalled Andre's movie full with a face full of disgust. Part 1. Chapter 39. After watching Shillong's movie, Viola finally understands why Andre's movie is so bad. The protagonist, who is supposed to be a poor child living with relatives, lives in a luxurious palace. It doesn't look like a peasant home at all. Shillong, on the other hand, changes the filming venue with each new scene. He tried his best to select the best place according to his understanding of the story. Andre has never considered the problem of the environment at all. Moreover, there's a lot of men participating in the noblewoman marriage competition, all of which are true dragons, and all of them are outstanding handsome men. The protagonist has no sense of existence amongst them. He doesn't have any prominent place, too plain. In this way, why can a noblewoman like the movie's protagonist at first glance from the wave of outstanding males? The dragon mage didn't use magic spells on the female noble. He just gave the protagonist a good suit of clothing and knowledge of gentleman etiquette. This is not enough to win the favor of a beautiful noblewoman at all. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Andre's movie has a whole lot of mistakes. Complete failure. What a failure. The more Viola thought, the more she felt that the movie she watched before is complete rubbish. When Neferu heard Viola say this, her face was filled with joy. The work she worked so hard along with her companions to create was recognized, giving her a whole lot of joy. She felt very happy. Mom, are you serious? Is Andre's movie so bad? Shillong asked very calmly. Of course. Your mom is not the kind of dragon who talks nonsense. My appraisal is guaranteed. That's good. Everyone, go back and rest. Andre's movie is almost finished. Shillong nodded and said, that guy finished filming in one day and was eager to showcase his movie. He never thought about reviewing it or looking at it from the bystander perspective. Just like some directors in the Blue Planet, they only wanted to finish the movie as soon as possible and make money. How can such a thing made with no effort and sincerity be approved by the audience? Nephiro and Ambria nodded and flew back to their residence happily. These two dragons did not go back to rest. They don't have humans' habit of sleeping at night and waking up early. They will go back to invite their friends to watch Dragon Quest tomorrow. Viola also returned to her lair, and Shillong and Armin went back to rest. The next day dawned. The sun was just peeking from the horizon. When Shillong and Armin walked out of their cave, they found something wrong. There was a large group of dragons outside, ranging from 7 to 8 meters long to 18 to 20 meters long. There were a total of more than 40 dragons, including Nephiro, Ambrio, and the rest of the shooting crew. After Shillong appeared, they focused their eyes on him. This caused Shillong to feel quite a lot of pressure. This was mainly because he was in his human form, which greatly restricted his size and strength. One of the young brass dragons among these dragons looked at Shillong and said with a reluctant look, Nefiru, is this the director Shillong you mentioned to me? You said the movie he made is very good? At his age, I think it might not even be as good as Andre's. Age is one of the main driving forces of prejudice, and dragons aren't an exception. The other dragons also had a look of distrust and disbelief. Yeah, the movie you described is definitely not as entertaining as you said. I've seen Andre's movie before. It sucks. I regret spending these 5 gold coins. A bronze dragon said with a look of distress. You don't believe me? Nephiro angrily said. Come, look into my eyes. See if I'm lying. A group of dragons started clamoring. They apparently regretted coming after seeing Shillong. Seeing this situation, Shillong hurriedly said, Dear brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunts, don't worry. I, Shillong, have morality. I have ideals. I'm a responsible dragon who will naturally not pit everyone's money. How about this? I will not charge you money. After everyone has watched the video, you can give me the money if you feel that it's good, but you can directly leave if you feel that the movie is bad. We don't have to pay money. The eyes of many dragons in the dragon group lit up, even though all of these dragons have at least a human noble level of wealth. If they can save money, who is willing to let go of their beautiful, shiny gold coins? Watching for free is good, even if the movie is bad. Oh, Shillong you. Nephiro was a little anxious at this time. How could she not see the gleeful expression of these dragons? However, Shillong interrupted her and continued. But please don't violate your own thoughts and deliberately say that my movie is not good. Of course, I also believe that this kind of thing will not happen. Everyone's eyes are sharp. You are all the models of metal dragons. You have morality. Responsible. You have ideals. You are metal dragons I respect. You would never deliberately and violate the dignity of metal dragons for 5 gold coins, would you? Of course, as a follower of His Majesty Bahamut, the god of good dragons. We will never do anything against our morals. Several older metal dragons immediately said. Their words are firm. Seeing this, the other young dragons hurriedly echoed. Then please enjoy my movie. Shillong smiled and took out the audiovisual stone from his space ring, then put it diagonally beside the mountain. At this time, Armin woke up from the shock too. His nest is right next to that of Shillong. After understanding the situation, he walked in front of the audiovisual stone, then sat down without nonsense. Since it's watching a movie, then I need to explain some things first, Shillong said while looking at the group of metal dragons. There are rules for watching movies. During the broadcast, everyone is prohibited from talking, so as not to affect others' watching experience. As dragon models, I believe it shouldn't be difficult to achieve for you, right? When the group of dragons heard this, they unanimously cast their eyes on the brass dragons who were still whispering around. Talking is the instinct of brass dragons. This is common sense. All brass dragons have a chatterbox attribute. The difference is just how high this attribute is. When the brass dragons saw the rest of the dragons looking at them, they said anxiously, What do you mean by this? We are good dragon models. What? You still don't believe it? Then how can you believe it? Nephiro looked at the constantly chattering brass dragons and quietly winked at Ambrio. We will believe it if you shut your mouths. Shoo, at this moment, blue whips formed by magic appeared, and the whips were wrapped around the mouths of the brass dragons, blocking them from talking. Several dragons were tied up. They hummed as they twisted around. Although they didn't break the magic ropes, they still didn't hide the dissatisfaction on their faces. Some of them didn't resist in order to prove their innocence. Finally, a few brass dragons even started emitting magic fluctuations. They were planning to exert their strength and break the magic ropes, but under the glare of other metal dragons, they swallowed their saliva, then gave up resistance. All the brass dragons looked at Ambryo and Nephiro, who proposed this with bitter eyes. Finally, it's quiet now. We can watch a movie peacefully, Nephiro said with a grin. Shillong nodded and continued. Everyone has to watch the movie in order. It is best to transform into a human-sized form. Those who don't want to change must sit further to the back according to their size. Let's watch the movie in an orderly manner. After hearing this, all dragons nodded in a tacit understanding. Some changed into their chosen humanoid form. Those that didn't want to change walked to the back and quietly sat. The movie Dragon Quest film by Shillong finally started playing. Part 1. Chapter 40. From the beginning of the story to the end of the story, many dragons couldn't help but exclaim upon seeing the highlights. Shillong, who was standing next to the audiovisual stone, stared at them closely, especially at those loudly exclaiming and making a lot of noise. In his dark pupils, a stream of beautiful golden particles was inexplicably flowing. Many dragons shivered upon feeling his sight on them. Turning their sight on Shillong, they smiled awkwardly, then shut their mouth and continued watching the movie. Shillong was like an invigilator, monitoring the audience. These dragons, like student cubs, could only seriously watch the movie, doing their best to resist the urge to exclaim or talk. This scene is really magical to the dragons that have watched Andre's movie. When they were watching his movie, the scene was very noisy, often covering the sound of the audiovisual stone. During that time, they were mostly complaining as they watched it, expressing their regret at paying those 5 gold coins. That scene was very noisy, with some dragons even being unable to stand it and leaving before the movie finished. How can it be compared to the atmosphere of watching Shillong's movie now? Until the end of the movie, the protagonist turned into a silver dragon and defeated the green dragon, then got the treasure and left with the golden horizon as the background. The movie ended and the screen turned black. A long string of text started flowing on the black screen. Director, Shillong Sauron. Male lead Ambryo Aurelia. Female lead Nephiro. This is a recorded video. Shillong asked one of the dragons to carve these names on a mountain, then flew to the top of it, then slowly flew down. After the credits disappeared, the movie finally ended. After enduring it for a long time, the brass dragons immediately broke out of the magic whip's confinement, then started shouting loudly. This movie is really great. Do you know? I saw my shadow on Sauron DMC. Ah, how similar it is to my experience while traveling outside. I met a green dragon and wrestled with it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to kill her in the end. Let her escape. No, this must be my experience while young. Who followed me and recorded it, then wrote it down as a story. Another brass dragon loudly said, "This story is very good, but I think if I can act as Sauron, it will be better," said another brass dragon. Young dragon, you really have some abilities. This movie is much better than that of Andre. It's just that the price is a bit expensive. Can it be cheaper in the future? Another brass dragon said while looking pitifully at Shillong. Once this group of brass dragons opened their mouth, they couldn't stop talking. They continued expressing their love and approval of this movie while looking extremely excited. The thing that they couldn't stop talking about the most is the movie plot. The other dragons could only get closer and talk with each other, as the loud voices of the brass dragons covered all other sounds. Shillong waited for more than 20 minutes before the brass dragon's enthusiasm gradually passed. Only then did he clap his hands. Clap, clap. The force he used was very strong. His 2 small hands made a noise similar to 2 steel plates colliding, attracting the attention of the other dragons. Everyone, since the movie is finished, it's almost time to pay the viewing fee. If you like the movie, please pay the agreed price. Of course, a dragon immediately said. This movie is very outstanding. It changed my perception of movies. You deserve these 5 gold coins. After the dragon finished speaking, he walked forward and gave Shillong 5 gold coins. The other dragons happily followed and paid the money. Some dragons actually didn't want to pay, but since everyone else paid the movie fee, they could only follow behind and reluctantly pay the money. Seeing that the group of dragons prepared to leave, Shillong said again, "Everyone, listen to me. Since this is our first movie, we will share a bonus with you. In the next 10 days, as long as you can pull a dragon to sea, you will receive 2 gold coins for each dragon you bring. Remember, this is only valid for the next 10 days. There will be no such benefits in the future. If you want to watch the movie release time, just go to the bulletin board in the center of Dragon Island to check. I will put a notice board next to it, and any movie-related information will be written there. Bulletin board. It's one of the ways Dragon Island inhabitants can convey a message or information to the rest of the island's inhabitants. Any information worthy of attention from the outside world will be written on the bulletin board. When all the dragons heard Shillong's words, their eyes started flashing with the light of gold coins. Shillong's proposal has greatly excited them. One dragon quickly flew to the sky and disappeared into the horizon. The other dragons didn't want to be left behind, as they also quickly left to pull their friends. Many of them have shared friends, hence they must quickly act, or they will be left behind by the others. Soon after, only 2 dragons were left, Shillong and Armin, and 165 gold coins on the ground. Armin's mercury-like eyes stared fixedly at these gold coins. His eyes almost spat out light due to his extreme excitement. Shillong looked at Armin, patted his right leg, and smiled. This income is not bad, but now is not the time to split the money. After 10 days, I will earn all the money, pay the actors, and settle the accounts. My dear younger brother, just wait to get your money. At this time, all Armin could think of is the gold coins. He didn't refute Shillong calling him younger brother. He just nodded deeply, humming to express his excitement. On the far side of Dragon Island, Andre was flying in the air. The rising sun shone on his golden scales, reflecting an unforgettable beauty. He was flying parallel to a copper dragon that was shaking his wings. With his beautiful golden beard flying in the air, Andre said with a look of excitement, "Ms. Malika, have you heard of it? I created something called a movie, which has resounded throughout Dragon Island yesterday. Are you interested in coming to take a look? Just 5 gold coins. You can see a perfect story. It's a story worth remembering for the rest of your life." "No, don't talk to me in this tone, Andre," the copper dragon said with a disgusted look. "You scummy dragon. I know that you have been showing disgusting videos to young dragons before. All of Dragon Island knows about it. As for the movie you said, it's simply the worst of the worst. My brother told me about it. He regretted watching your movie. No, this is just your brother's prejudice. This does not represent the views of other dragons. You can at least try to watch it. How do you know if you haven't seen it? Maybe my movie is to your liking." Andre was not angry at the copper dragon's words, but patiently continued to persuade. "No, I don't need to watch it. Your movie is not worth wasting my gold coins. Goodbye. I hope to never see you again." The copper dragon scorned, then turned and flew away quickly. Andre gritted his teeth while looking at the distant back of the copper dragon. How could this be? Wasn't it good yesterday? A total of dozens of dragons came to see, and I made a lot of money. Why doesn't anyone want to watch it today? Where's the problem? I obviously recorded the pictures according to the story. These stories are super popular in the human world, and I also adapted it based on that little dragon's suggestion. Did that little dragon lie to me? Correct. He must have lied to me. At least he still has the most critical information that he didn't mention to me. Part 1. Chapter 41. Just as Andre was thinking deeply, a silver dragon flew by in the distance. Andre didn't recognize that silver dragon, but another brass dragon appeared in Andre's vision and flew towards the silver dragon. Andre knew the brass dragon. It's one of the dragons that he invited to watch his movie yesterday. After the brass dragon appeared, he ignored Andre, who wasn't far away, and flew towards the silver dragon, then stopped it. "Prus, your scales are as clean as always. What are you up to today?" "Well, I'm going to wander in the nearby sea with linen today." The silver dragon replied. "Swimming again? That's too boring. Prus, let me tell you some good news. Did you know that there is something called a movie on our island? It's super nice. After watching it, I feel that my spiritual world is richer. I felt like I traveled in the outside world for decades," the brass dragon said with excitement. From a distance, Andre has been listening to the dialogue between the 2 dragons. After hearing this, a knowing smile appeared on his face. As expected, how could the movie that was made by me, Andre, be so bad? It must be because those dragons didn't understand it before. Isn't there a dragon recommending my movie now? Movies? I seem to have heard of this word before, but it said that they are super bad and boring. The silver dragon, Prus asked with a look of surprise. "Hateful. Another dragon is spreading bad rumors." Andre gritted his teeth. "You're right, but that movie was made by Andre, and it was awful." After saying this, the brass dragon turned his head to the right, looking at Andre in the distance with a look of contempt. Andre was suddenly confused. What does this guy mean? Does my movie suck? Who were you praising just now? Could there be other dragons making movies? Andre suddenly remembered the young dragon who is always in his human form, Shillong. It must be that young dragon. Then whose movie are you talking about? Prus asked. I'm talking about a movie made by a young dragon called Shillong. His movie is really good. I guarantee it by my name. It's definitely worth the money. Watching it with your linen is definitely much more romantic than swimming. The brass dragon patted Prus's shoulder with a knowing smile. This? Prus hesitated. Hurry up. When did I lie to you? You still don't believe your brother's vision. Okay, go. I'll call Lennon first. The silver dragon finally agreed, then the two of them quickly left. Andre ground his teeth while watching, almost crushing them. What a shame. That young dragon actually robbed my business. No way. I'm going to check this movie. Why do other dragons say that his movie is good and despise my movie? Andre made up his mind. Then golden light suddenly spread along his body, turning into the image of a very handsome blonde male, then quietly followed behind the two dragons. Andre strayed 1 kilometer away from them. This is to prevent them from discovering his existence. After all, dragons have a supernatural sense of hearing and smell. Andre watched them pick up Lennon, then flew to the place where the movie is broadcasted, which is Shillong's residence. There are already more than 20 dragons sitting there. The appearance of 3 more dragons did not attract much attention. After Andre arrived, he looked at Shillong and his brother Armin in front of the mountain. The 2 young dragons looked at all the dragons present with a smile. They signaled for them to wait until there are at least 30 dragons before broadcasting the movie. Andre just waited quietly, but in the process of waiting, Andre found that the young dragon Shillong looked at him frequently, causing him to be quite nervous. Is he exposed? As a competitor in the same movie-making business, he will feel very embarrassed if his spying act was discovered. It's impossible. It has to be my imagination. How can this young dragon discover him? Not only I transformed into a human form, but it's also not my original form at all. His appearance is very different from his usual human form. The golden dragon's inheritance of transformation spells is excellent compared to other dragons. He can not only transform into various humanoid forms, but even into various animals. This is entirely because golden dragons like to feign weakness while traveling through the world, then fight against evil forces. This kind of superb transformation technique, non-legendary mages and dragons can't see through it, let alone a young dragon. The group of dragons had no problem with waiting. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, a few dragons led 4 more female dragons into the crowd, then left. Seeing that the number of dragons has reached the minimum requirement, Shillong didn't intend to wait anymore. He explained the rules they must adhere to while watching the movie before activating the audiovisual stone. Andre quietly caught from a corner. After seeing the first scene of the parting in the dragon's nest, he immediately guessed that this story is Dragon Quest, a novel that isn't particularly popular in the human world, and one that Andre didn't pay much attention to. Everyone watched the movie quietly, which is different from the vegetable market-like scene. When they watched his movie, Andre started analyzing the difference between their movies. He watched the lifelike performance of the actors in the movie, the perfect scenery, the matching performance, and the seamless connection. Only then did he find out the various shortcomings his movie has. In his movie, the actors are stiff. Their speech doesn't have any emotion. It's not immersive at all. As for the movie in front of him, it's almost like a story that actually happened in the human world and was recorded by someone. Each character is very lifelike and attractive. Comparing the 2 movies, it's almost like the difference between the sky and the ground. The more he watched, the more Andre felt that his movie was very bad. Right now, he can't really refute the claim of everyone that his movie is trash. Having seen a movie at this level in front of him, he finally got a judgment of the level of his movie. No wonder the brass dragon despised him so much before. The plot of the movie continued to slowly advance. When he saw the protagonist transforming back into a dragon and fighting the green dragon, he felt his blood boiling due to excitement. As the plot continued to unfold, he almost wanted to replace the protagonist and fight the evil dragon. This is indeed a good movie. My loss is not unjustified, Andre muttered internally. At the end of the movie, looking at the excited and happy dragons around, he can tell that they are satisfied even if he thinks with his toes. After a full 10 minutes of admiration and excitement, the dragons finally calmed down, then walked to Shillong one after the other and paid. Andre honestly followed the team and paid the movie fee. In the process of paying the money, Andre found that the young dragon Shillong was looking at him with a smile. This smile is a bit different from the smile he held while facing the other dragons. It held a deep meaning within it. How is it? My movie is not bad, right? The young dragon asked. Not bad. Andre nodded. It's indeed a very good movie, far from the thing he made. Do you understand the process of making movies now? Shillong asked again, a bright grin on his face. The moment he heard those words, Andre's heart skipped a bit. This young dragon has indeed guessed his identity. With an embarrassed smile on his face, Andre said with a low voice. Yeah, it's good that you understand. I'm looking forward to the good movies you'll be making in the future. Shillong laughed cheerfully while accepting Andre's gold coins. After giving the money, Andre quickly left, as if escaping. Armin listened to the conversation of Shillong and the blonde man from the side with an unclear face. What are they talking about? After Andre fled, he flew back to his lair again. He doesn't intend to give up on making movies. This is a new field with a lot of business opportunities. His previous failure is just temporary. He finally knows his shortcoming. As long as he corrects his mistakes and makes a movie about the same level, he can also make endless gold coins. Part 1. Chapter 42. Shillong continued collecting money as he watched Andre fleeing away. He immediately recognized Andre the moment he appeared here and guessed his purpose. It's obvious to check how is his movie so better than the one he made. Now that he knew that he was discovered, Andre immediately fled due to embarrassment. He doesn't want me to know? Unfortunately, I immediately recognized him. I have a pair of dragon eyes that can detect all falsehood. This is a new ability Shillong discovered when he was recording Dragon Quest. Even if other dragons transformed into humans, his eyes could easily see through their true form. Any type of disguise is useless in front of him. After collecting all the money and explaining the benefits of inviting other dragons to come and watch the movie, this group of dragons left, actively going to drag their friends to watch. The sun is setting, and a hazy orange halo enveloped the island. In just one day today, more than 200 dragons came to watch his movie. After collecting more than 1,000 gold coins, Shillong could finally pay off his debt. First of all, he paid back all the money he owed and the dragon's salaries. As a result, he still had more than 600 gold coins left. Looking at this pile of gold coins, Armin's nostrils kept releasing a chilling white breath. His eyes almost popped out due to excitement. Shillong, we're rich. This is only the first day. Armin leaned back, sitting on the ground like a human, rubbing his two forelimbs back and forth. Yes, now it's time for us to divide the accounts. Shillong nodded and said. Armin's eyes widened to the extreme after hearing this. He kept gesturing to Shillong, looking like a giant, excited husky. Shillong naturally understood his brother very well. He smiled and said, as your elder brother, it's my responsibility to take care of you. This time we have more than 600 gold coins. I will give you 200 gold coins. What do you think? 200 gold coins? Armin was startled. Then an overjoyed look appeared on his face. He knew that he didn't make a lot of contributions to the creation of this movie, hence he didn't really expect a lot. I thought I could get 100. Thank goodness. Thank Bahamut. I didn't expect this guy Shillong to be so generous, directly giving me 200 gold coins. Although this guy often takes advantage of me, calling me little brother, but I will bear it this time due to his generousness. Armin's handsome dragon face was full of smiles. Shillong, you are indeed my good brother. After speaking, he couldn't hold it anymore. He rushed into the pile of gold coins, smashing it and swirling between them. Then he straightened his limbs and laid on the ground, counting the gold coins with a silly smile on his face. He murmured, 1 gold coin, 2 gold coins, 3 gold coins. Forgive this poor child. He has never owned so many gold coins. The largest number of money he has ever owned is 20 gold coins, and when he gathered this money, he stared at Shillong's gold coins, gambling with him. The results need not be said. Shillong watched as Armin finished counting, then held the gold coins in his arms with a silly look on his face. With a light wave of his hands, a blue magic light wrapped the gold coins on the ground, dragging them into Shillong's space ring. After collecting all of them, Shillong went back to his lair to rest, leaving the silly Armin still hugging his gold coins and grinning. Since Andre obtained the truth of filmmaking from Shillong, he reorganized his team and started shooting a new movie. This time he filmed My Noble Wife, which is also a novel that is very popular in the human world. Because of the lesson he just learned, Andre's shooting was much slower and his requirements were a lot more stringent. He tried training his dragon friends to act in complete compliance with his orders, down to the expression they should make and shouldn't make, causing them to be very dissatisfied. They didn't feel that a perverted dragon, like Andre, has the qualification to order them to act according to his wish. In this end, Andre ushered in a strike by the actors. It took a day to appease them by promising to double their salary. It's worth mentioning that the movie that Andre previously made did not cause him any loss. Although these dragons charge as much as Nephiro and other actors, he still didn't lose money. He even earned 30 or 40 gold coins. This is all thanks to Andre's hard work on marketing his video and calling as many of his friends as possible on the first day. However, the shooting of this new movie took 4 to 5 days and almost 200 gold coins. Andre felt his heart bleeding, but he absolutely has to correct his mistake. After finishing the recording, Andre and all his actors sat and watched the finished movie. Immediately after, Andre glanced at the group of dragons and asked, "Who among you has seen the movie of the young dragon Shillong?" The dragons looked at each other and didn't know whether to answer truthfully. A younger dragon suddenly raised his hand and said, "I have seen it. How do you feel?" Andre eagerly asked. "It was so amazing. It felt like I participated in a legendary adventure. It would be great if my experience outside is so exciting," the young dragon said with an excited look on his face. "Then how do you think our current movie compares to that movie?" Andre stared at the young dragon while asking. The young dragon stared back nervously, stammering a little. "It's okay, almost as good." Andre frowned, then looked at the other dragons. What do you think? To be honest, it's not even close. An older dragon straightforwardly said, It's not comparable. I think it's okay. I haven't seen that movie before, but since you guys praise it so much, then I will go and have a look. I also think Shillong's movie is better. But why is our movie not as good as theirs? Yes, indeed. Why is my movie still not as good as him? Andre was puzzled. He felt that he had already filled the shortcomings and fixed his mistakes after watching that movie this time. The shooting is much more serious, and all the changes that could be done have been made. Why is it still not as good? Andre didn't know that due to his inexperience and lack of knowledge about this subject, he has missed many small details that greatly affect the quality of the movie as a whole. He has only seen a Shillong movie once. How much can he understand? Shillong felt that his clips and shooting are already very good, but they are miles away compared to the professional directors with dedicated equipment back on the Blue Planet. He could only make up some things using the magic of this world. However, this is due to Shillong's love of movies and his experience of watching them for over a dozen years in his past life. How can these dragons that have barely seen it once compare? How many times have these dragons seen a movie? What can they understand? Although Shillong doesn't dare to say that he watched thousands of movies, 1,000 is still possible, not to mention the movie reviews and the wiki page he visited. Coupled with his super memory, Andre isn't even worthy to pick up his shoes. Although I don't understand, I have done everything I could to do. All that is left is to invite other dragons over to watch. Andre thought that since that Shillong fellow has promised many dragons to give them 2 gold coins from the 5 gold coins movie fee for every dragon they bring. Although he doesn't understand why he did so, there must definitely be a reason for it. Since Shillong did it, he will do it too. If he can't bear to lose gold coins, he can't make more gold coins. So Andre grit his teeth and gave his group of friends the same promise. His group of dragon friends is naturally happy. They have made a lot of money, but who doesn't more this is simply sending them benefits. The enthusiasm of the group of dragons was mobilized, spreading their wings one after the other, ready to call their friends and their family, and to make another sum of money. Part 1. Chapter 43. Andre just stayed there and waiting for this place to be filled with visitors. He believes that a large group of dragons will come to watch his movie soon. Unfortunately, the facts were a bit beyond his expectations. He waited for 2 hours without any dragon coming to watch, not even those friends of his he sent to bring back their friends. 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours. Still, no dragon has come over. What the hell is going on? The situation is different from what I thought. He copied the young dragon's actions down to the smallest details. According to the planet, he just has to wait for a while. Then countless dragons will come over to give him money. Why did it not work? Andre didn't understand. So far, not a single dragon has come, not even to check. Why? In the end, Andre could only go out to check the information by himself. He transformed into a blonde elf, then used flight magic to fly into the sky and look for other dragons. It didn't take long before he found an adult copper dragon and flew over quickly. Hey, brother, wait! Andre shouted loudly from behind. After hearing this, the copper dragon turned to look at Andre and said, Brother, what's wrong? You know, Andre, I heard that he made a new movie, and it's great. Would you like to go over and see it? Andre's new movie is great? Are you kidding me? The copper dragon asked with a look of surprise. Shillong's movie is pretty good, but although I haven't seen Andre's movie, I have heard from my friends that you will become stupider after seeing it. It's said to be the worst of the worst. Don't say that. Brother, that was his first movie, which was a bit problematic, but this time he released his second movie. It's much better. Andre continued to persuade the copper dragon, trying to bring him with him. No, brother, I don't want to see Andre's shit works. I don't think that he can make anything good. The copper dragon looked very determined. Seeing that persuasion was ineffective, Andre could only watch as the copper dragon left. He stared at his huge back with a look of daze, his eyes wide like saucers. Why don't they even try to look at my movie? How could he dismiss my movie without even seeing it? Did I fail? I completely lost to that young dragon. Impossible. Yeah, this copper dragon must have a very bad impression of my first movie. Other dragons will certainly not refuse it right away. Refusing to give up, Andre looked for many other dragons to watch his movie, but without any exception, all were very resistant and repulsive to watching it. They all think that his movies are trash, and that it's not worth spending money to watch them. Andre has no way to deal with this. Unexpectedly, his first movie directly destroyed his reputation. There is no possibility of turning over in Dragon Island. I also pay for the actors. Hateful. What a big loss. Thinking of this, he transformed back into his true form, then flailed around on the ground like a giant husky or child throwing a tantrum. Even though he only lost around 200 gold coins, which is much less than 1% of his wealth, he still looked very uncomfortable. Shillong has been broadcasting his own movie every day for the past few days, and with each passing day, There are fewer and fewer true dragons coming to watch Dragon Quest. Almost all dragons in Dragon Island that are interested in watching have watched it, and the rest are the ones that are sleeping or are not interested. By now, he has earned more than 1,000 gold coins. He also allocated 500 gold coins to Armin, which he somewhat regrets now. This silly child is always howling excitedly in the cave next to him every night, almost making him unable to sleep. Finally, after some coercion and threats to no longer give him money, the silly child has finally become well-behaved. On the other hand, Shillong is planning to film the next movie. However, just when he wanted to start, his mother Viola approached him and told him that a certain dragon wants to see him. In this regard, Shillong naturally obeyed his mother's arrangement and followed her to the central area of Dragon Island. There stands a huge mountain with a height of several kilometers. Viola led Shillong to the entrance of a huge cave in the middle of the mountain. The cave is extremely big, more than 50 meters tall and almost 40 meters wide. On both sides stood two golden golems with a height of about 10 meters. They stood straight with their hands crossed, and underneath their hands was a huge long sword with a length of at least 6 or 7 meters. Viola took Shillong directly into the cave. They walked inside for a while before Shillong finally saw who wanted to see him. It's a huge golden dragon. Even if compared to Shillong's current body, this dragon is still extremely big. Just with his visual inspection, he can assert that this dragon is at least 35 meters tall. He wondered what age this golden dragon is. He's extremely huge. According to his inherited memories, dragons of this size have at least reached the ancient dragon level. His golden scales were shining abnormally. Even if there was no light in the cave, the whole cave was illuminated by his scales, almost like a big light bulb. His eyes are also shining, radiating the light of wisdom. Shillong's sensitive nose actually smelled a strange scent throughout the cave. "Child, you are here," the golden dragon gently said. His voice was almost like that of a gentle grandpa, which can make any dragon instinctively feel intimacy towards him. "Hello, Grandpa." Shillong was very polite. Viola introduced him from the side. "Baby, this is the current leader of the Golden Dragon clan, Commandant. He is also called the Gold of Wisdom by all the dragons. The leader of Dragon Island and of the Metal Dragon clan." Shillong was quite surprised upon hearing this. This old dragon seems to be quite the big shot, so he has to pretend to be a good boy. Shillong smiled sweetly and said, "Hello, Grandpa Kama." Commandant smiled and nodded. "Shillong, your mother told me about you." After hearing this, Shillong looked at his mother. "Child, change back to your original form." Viola gently motioned. Shillong nodded. He has full trust in his mother. He didn't transform for the first time, but first took off his clothes and put them in a space ring, only then did his body start deforming and growing. His face gradually became filled with black scales and sharp corners, and soon he became a huge dragon with a height of 27 to 28 meters with golden streams flowing through the cracks between his scales. Oh, what a shocking and majestic appearance. Although your mother has already told me, but seeing you with my own eyes is a different feeling. What shocks me the most is that you're only 20 years old, Kama exclaimed. Kama sighed with amazement, then said with a smile, "When I was about your age, I could barely reach half of your limbs, and that was already very outstanding amongst my age group. I don't know why I grew up so big. Not only that, but I also look very different from my mother," Shillong grimaced. He almost looked frustrated to be very different from his mother. "Don't be frustrated by this, child," Kama comforted. "You are indeed Viola's child. There is no doubt. Your bloodline should have mutated. Although astronomically small, each dragon has a chance of mutation, and this has already happened several times throughout history. Just in the past generation, several mutant dragons have appeared. Although their growth is not as shocking as you, their potential is far higher than ordinary dragons." Shillong nodded. "I know. Armin and I are both mom's children." "Yes," Kama nodded. "However, I felt an extremely evil force lurking in your body. This force is extremely powerful, including death, destruction, drought, poison, distortion, high heat, etc. It's honestly too scary. My mother told me that as long as you have a good heart, you don't have to be afraid of any evil power, including your own. Your mother is right. She is a good mother, child. You have to listen to her." "I will, Grandpa Kama. I believe in you. Child, I can feel the purity of your heart. Unlike the evil form radiating from your body, your heart is very pure and filled with kindness. You will become a great dragon in the future," Kama said with a gratified look. "Thank you, Grandpa. I will definitely be the great dragon you say." Part 2. Kama smiled and nodded. After chatting with Shillong and his mother for a while, he finally said, "Okay, you can go back. I just want to see your true body today. After seeing it, I can finally rest assured." When the mother and son heard the words, they left, and Shillong transformed back into his human form, sat on his mother's back, then flew back home. On the way back to his nest, Viola didn't forget her own set of preaching. Part 1. Chapter 44. Shillong could understand why the ancient gold dragon Kama called him this time. He wants to see his true form, check his mentality, and preach to him by the way. In the meeting just now, he could clearly feel the old dragon's temptation and exploration, although it was very discreet. He was able to see it thanks to his supernatural vision and the magic knowledge taught by Jones. This should be a spell to detect his subconscious mind, whether he's good, neutral, evil, or anything in between. After all, if his mind is truly filled with evil, he believes that the entire Dragon Island won't have a place for him. The mutated dragons in the outside world are entrenched with each other, and for some reason, none of them respect their mother god and ancestor, the dragon god Tiamat. Tiamat was tossed a lot by them, and her influence on this entire world has plummeted. The notoriety of the mother of evil dragons is not as good as before. If Shillong, like those guys, is filled with evil thoughts, wouldn't he cause a lot of trouble to His Majesty Bahamut? This is not allowed. Fortunately, Shillong was a human and a good citizen in his past life. Not to mention murders or something, he hardly violated even the simplest laws. The worst thing he remembers doing is trying to smoke in middle school and secretly bringing snacks to the cinema. While he might not be comparable to a saint or a very good man, in this war-filled world where power determines supremacy and where creatures can kill each other due to the smallest of things, he is truly a good and reasonable dragon. Well, although Shillong killed some pirates before, he has a clear conscience. Can a creature like a pirate be considered a human? Of course not. For such filthy beings that don't consider the same species as life, death is their best ending. All metal dragons tend to act as heroes of justice, punishing evil and killing the guilty. Hence all of them can be considered to have blood on their hands. So Shillong's act of slaughtering the pirates can't be considered wrong. It's precisely because of this that the results of Kama Dome's detection will naturally not be bad. So he is very relieved of Shillong, and believes that despite possessing evil power, Shillong is truly a good and justice-oriented dragon. Returning to his residence, the area where the audiovisual stone is put is empty. Most dragons on Dragon Island have watched his movie, but they aren't interested in watching it for the second time. The memory of true dragons is much better than that of ordinary humans. They can clearly remember all the details of the movie they have seen. Therefore, when they want to reminisce about the movie, they just need to get down and close their eyes. Their strong mental power allows them to recall the movie they watch scene by scene. Faced with this situation, Shillong did not rush to make a new movie. After all, the time needed to make a movie is extremely fast. The shooting process needs just a few days, but Shillong's promised 10-day welfare time is still not finished. He doesn't want to continue to give benefits to these dragons. After making his first pot of gold and gathering enough reputation, he doesn't need to go through the troubles he had in the first movie. Shillong didn't waste this opportunity either. He had already decided to empty the treasure trove of these wealthy dragons. Over the next few days, he specially invited a few true dragons who helped him shoot the movie and recommended various games about playing cards to them. But something beyond Shillong's expectations happened. None of these guys were interested in poker. In their words, it's meaningless. There are a lot of games similar to poker in the human world, but there is no point in playing. Although it's possible to make money through winning, the tools used in a formal casino are all anti-magic. True dragons don't have an advantage in gambling. When there's the possibility of losing money, most true dragons will consider whether this kind of thing is meaningful to them. The answer is obvious. No. Gambling is different from watching a movie. Movies can enrich their spiritual world and increase their experience. The main reason why young dragons set off on their journey in the outside world is due to gold coins and treasures, but it's also very important to increase their experience and enrich their spiritual world. No dragon can endure staying in one place for a lifetime. Therefore, this is the reason why these dragons can accept the price of 5 gold coins to watch a movie. Of course, it's also due to the fact it's a new industry and that the price hadn't stabilized yet. Shillong was a little surprised at this, but he can't really force them. It seems that the only young Armin is willing to play with him, mainly because they're too young, had never seen the world, and they were only the two of them at the cave most of the time, making their life very boring. The poker game could be said to add a touch of excitement to their boring lifestyle. As for their mother, Viola, that is probably her care for them, giving them extra dozens of gold coins. Since the group of dragons was unwilling to play, Shillong had no way but to wait for the 10 days period to pass. But while waiting, there was an unexpected visitor. That night, the entire sky was dyed dark, with only a sliver of moonlight shining to the earth. Although the area where the two brothers live is very peaceful, he and his brother Armin still kept the habit of light sleep. A dark figure was sneaking in the night, appearing quietly near Shillong's lair. After that, it did not use magic to fly, but walked lightly, approaching Shillong's lair like a thief, then sneaked inside. The moment that figure stepped into the lair, Shillong, who was lying on a wooden plank, instantly opened his eyes, lighting up the whole cave. He quickly converged the golden particles in his eyes, restoring the darkness of the cave. Shillong gently stood up, then leisurely walked to the entrance of the cave. Andre is very distressed recently. He is not reconciled to this failure. He couldn't stand the fact that the gold coins of hundreds of dragons are right in front of him, but he can't earn them. So he made up his mind to give Shillong another chance to cooperate with him. Okay, I'm the one giving him a chance, he shamelessly thought. After making this decision, Andre started to act. Knowing that Shillong likes to sleep at night like humans, he decided to sneak into his lair at that time. The moment he stepped into the nest, he suddenly stopped. A pair of golden eyes filled with shining particles stared at him. The stream of golden particles in these pupils actually gave Andre, who is almost an adult dragon, huge pressure. He felt like a little lamb that encountered a beast, unable to hold his trembling body. How is this possible? My body is instinctively afraid. Is it because of my human form? Although I knew my strength was weak in my human form, I didn't expect to be scared by a young dragon one day. What a shameful thing. This is my dark history. After calming down his trembling body, Andre smiled lightly. Hello, Shillong. I'm Andre. Do you remember me? Brother Andre, what are you doing? Sneaking to my lair in the middle of the night? Shillong was speechless. Fortunately, he remembers that this is Dragon Island. If this happened outside, he will most likely immediately transform into his dragon body and slap this guy to death. Your uncle. Doesn't he know enough stories about what happened to the adventures that wake up a sleeping dragon? That's it. Didn't you say that you wanted to work with me to make a movie? I've thought about it for a few days. Maybe we can cooperate and share the income 5-5. What do you think? Andre said with a smile, but a blush of shame appeared on his face unconsciously. Fortunately, it's not very visible in the dark. After all, he rejected this proposal before. Now that he is cheekily coming again to seemingly accept the proposal, even he is a bit ashamed. Brother Andre, are you kidding? You have already rejected it before. My movie is a success now, so I don't need to cooperate with you at all. Shillong smiled playfully and said, You can't say that. You just made the first movie well, but who knows if you can keep the same quality for the next few movies. Making a movie is risky. Let me help you share some of the risks. It will be good for you, isn't it? How about this? Part 2. I will pay for the shooting process. What do you think? Andre continued persuading. Part 1. Chapter 45. I don't lack that little money now. Shillong shook his head and said, Is there no other way? Andre was unwilling. Shillong glanced at Andre for a while, and Andre opened his eyes hard to make himself appear sincere and innocent. You have no chance on Dragon Island. Andre was a little disappointed, his head drooping low like a sulking puppy. But we can cooperate in other places, Shillong suddenly said, a cunning look flashing in his eyes. Other places? Tell me. Andre suddenly became excited again. Now he dare not look down on this young dragon. He underestimated him before, but he regretted it until his intestines turned green. This time, he must seize this opportunity. Human World. There are movies out yet, right? Human World? I can directly use my own movie there. Andres quickly lit up as he said, Are you sure you want to use your movie? Are you sure you can succeed? Think about why you failed in Dragon Island. Andre's complexion changed. If he had not experienced the failure of Dragon Island, perhaps he would think that he would definitely succeed in the human world, but after experiencing this failure, he is no longer as confident as before. He is even more afraid of failure. Anyone that is paying to watch a movie will be very demanding in terms of quality. They will not pay money to see a bad movie for a second time. It will make them feel that the money they spend is not worth it, and they have been cheated. They will even hate you because of this. Then advertise how bad your movie is. Do you understand, Andre? Making a movie is not easy. It doesn't allow failure, especially since this is a new industry. Do you think that the movie you made is comparable to mine? Shillong narrowed his eyes slightly and said. Andre was silent for a moment. I'm still not as good as you. I made 2 movies. Although the second one has much better quality, I still clearly feel that it's not as good as yours. So you will still fail? Shillong confirmed. Here, Shillong lied, but after his successive failure on the Dragon Island, Andre is no longer as confident as before, so he did not refute Shillong's words. In fact, in the human world, those humans that have never seen a movie will be more tolerant of it. Since it's a new thing, people haven't set their standard yet. As long as they don't see a good movie like Shillong's before, movies of Andre's level can at least circulate for a while. Even if others follow suit to record a movie, Andre is not necessarily worse than anyone else. So Andre will probably experience a period of prosperity outside. Even if he has no director talent and can't improve the level of his movies, he will still take 3 to 5 years of profits before the competitors catch up or surpass him. However, Andre gave Shillong an opportunity by appearing in front of him. Shillong doesn't understand anything about the outside world. Hence, he needs an experienced dragon like Andre to help him in his business outside. Because the quality of your movie is not high, you will still fail. How about it? Do you want to consider working with me? You can use my movie directly. You have seen my success, so you don't doubt whether you can succeed in the outside world, right? What is the cooperative method? After thinking for a while, Andre finally said, "You take my movies to the outside world, show it to the public, and make money. We'll split the profits by 70% to 30%. Synopsis said, 70% to 30%? Andre frowned. What? Do you think that it's too little? Shillong smiled. Previously, you wanted to split the profits by 80% to 20%? It's due to my generousness that you're getting 30% now. If you don't want to, it's fine. I can look for other dragons. No, it's okay. I agree. Andre hurriedly said the deal that Shillong proposed is very good. If their positions were reversed, he doesn't think that he will give Shillong even 30%. This young dragon is very interesting. Afterward, the two dragons began to discuss the details. After some discussion, Shillong also had a certain understanding of Andre. This guy has a certain power in the outside world. He knows a lot of wealthy businessmen in the human world, which will enable him to quickly develop the movie industry in the human world. Another important point that they need to discuss is the price of the movie in the human world. To this end, Shillong asked Andre about the purchasing power of gold coins in the outside world. He only knew that 1 gold coin equals 10 silver coins equals 1,000 copper coins, but he is totally unclear about the purchasing power of these currencies. This time, after Andre's explanation, he learned a lot. First of all, in terms of food in the outside world, black bread is the cheapest and most filling food. A piece of black bread is enough for a person to eat for a meal, and its value is only 1 to 2 copper coins. A piece of white bread is about 5 copper coins. Meat, sausage, cheese, etc. are all relatively valuable items. A pound of ordinary and cheap meat costs around 40 to 50 copper coins. The price of a pound of sausage is slightly lower than that of meat, about 30 copper coins, and cheese is very expensive, about 80 copper coins for a pound. An average adult man's annual income is only about 2 to 3 gold coins. Meat, such a precious commodity, is rarely eaten in 1 year. The nobility is different. Their ranks are different from country to country, but they are generally from high to low, duke, marquise, earl, viscount, and baron. Even the lowest baron has an annual income ranging from dozens to hundreds of gold coins. The wealth of nobles far exceeds that of common people. This is a bit beyond Shillong's expectations. The civilians can't even watch movies at the price of 1 silver coin, as Shillong imagined before. So Shillong finally decided to continue cutting the price. If 1 silver coin doesn't work, then 30 copper coins, 20 copper coins. He must absolutely set the price within the range acceptable to the public. After finalizing all matters, Andre planned to immediately take Shillong's movie to explore the market in the human world. But Shillong firmly refused. Just kidding, there is only 1 movie now, too little. With the speed at which the dragons can make a movie, the best would be to film a few more before giving them to Andre, allowing him to develop better in the human world. After everything was settled, Andre went back happily. The next day, Shillong met Nephiro, who had come to visit. Nephiro told him that apart from Andre, some other dragons have also created a movie and started broadcasting it. In this regard, Shillong was already prepared internally. He took Armin and Nephiro to watch it from far. The location of the broadcasting was on a plain. Shillong, Nephiro, and Armin saw a large number of dragons lying on the grass, causing them to stop midair and watch from afar. A silver dragon was lying on the grass. Next to him was a huge earth platform with an audiovisual stone placed on it. Because Shillong, Nephiro, and Armin were hovering behind him, it was impossible to watch the movie. Of course, they can't directly go in front of the silver dragon and watch the movie because they will have to pay to see it. The 3 dragons don't want to send money to the competitor, especially after Shillong learned the value of gold coins last night. He was even more reluctant to waste so many gold coins. The 5 gold coins required to watch the movie can only be made by ordinary people in 2 years. Spending the salary of 2 years just to watch a movie? Only the nobles, rich, and dragons can spend so much money carelessly. However, this price is most likely only temporary. As more and more movies are out, this price will keep going down. Most importantly, Shillong doesn't need to see the movie. He only needs to look at the expressions of those dragons that are watching to know its quality. Part 1. Chapter 46. Shillong looked at the giant dragons watching the movie in the distance. The expressions of these giant dragons were very plain. Some were in a daze, and some even clicked their tongues due to boredom. There were more than a dozen dragons in total, but few of them were watching seriously. One of them looked up suddenly, and with his excellent eyesight, he spotted Shillong and the other 2 dragons midair. A little excited, he suddenly straightened his wings and flew towards Shillong with a grin. His actions naturally attracted the attention of other dragons, and several dragons also followed him. The rest of the dragons and the silver dragon broadcasting the video just glanced at them and didn't pay much attention. When several dragons flew to Shillong, they stopped flying, flapping their wings in the air and stabilizing their figure. One dragon looked extremely excited as he said, "Director Shillong, when will your next movie be filmed? I'm feeling bitter due to waiting so much. Didn't you just watch other dragon movies? How did you suddenly remember Brother Shillong?" Nephiro said with an unpleasant expression on her face. Obviously, since this dragon watched movies not made by them, it gave her the idea that this dragon is a traitor. The talking dragon was able to feel the displease of Nephiro. He smiled bitterly. "I regret it. The movies made by other dragons are too boring. It's incomparable with director Shillong. So please record your next movie. I can't wait any longer." Seeing that Nephiro is still upset, the dragon quickly continued. In fact, I didn't want to see this movie either. I was fooled by them. Humph. Now you know how good the movie we made? Let me ask you, if movies made by other dragons reduce their price to only 1 gold coin, will you still watch them?" Nephiru's expression eased a bit, but she still asked seriously. "I will only recognize the movies directed by Shillong. I swear." The heading bronze dragon vowed seriously. Several other dragons also made the same oath. They never knew that the quality of the movie they watched first was so high. After looking at several new movies made by other directors, how can their quality compare? Even 1 gold coin is too much to see them once. Shillong was very satisfied with the attitude of these dragons. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, big brothers and sisters. We will make a new movie in a few days. You can pay more attention to our bulletin board on Central Island. After the movie is made, we'll release it there. Brother Shillong, can you call me when you're making the movie? I am very interested in it." A silver dragon exuding an intellectual aura said, "If there is a chance, definitely." "Great. I live on the southeast coast near the west side of number 2 Dragon Mountain. You're welcome to visit anytime. Please inform me when the time comes. Shillong. If there is a chance I will. Then I'll go. I will invite you to have a big meal together next time. Goodbye, Director Shillong." The silver dragon said goodbye to Shillong, then flew away. The other dragons also learned that Shillong would start filming his next movie a few days later and left happily. Shillong also learned about the poor quality of his opponent's movie and left with Armin and Nefiru, who were in a much better mood. After waiting for 2 more days, Shillong gathered his crew and started filming Snow Boy. Most of the scenes of the show are basically in the forest. The personnel requirements are not high. About 10 dragons are enough to handle everything. The story at the beginning is mainly about the male protagonist, a boy as handsome as the snow, and 7 dwarf girls living in the forest. This drama has a lot of daily routines, and the early stage is basically 8 actors peacefully living together. In the middle stage, they met a female knight. The female knight was beautiful and carefree. She was injured in the forest, then rescued by the snow boy and the 7 dwarf girls, slowly recovering afterward. During the recovery period, the two had a spark of love, but the good times didn't last long. The snow boy met an evil mage when he was out to gather medicine with the dwarf girl. The mage became jealous when he saw Snow Boy's beautiful appearance, even surpassing that of elves. The mage always thought that he is the most perfect man among human beings, but his self-confidence was heavily hit after seeing Snow Boy. As an attempt to restore his confidence, he asked the Mirror of Omniscience that he got from the Abyss, "Who is the most perfect man in Nora Kingdom?" Unfortunately, after being told that it was Snow Boy, his confidence shattered and his jealousy twisted his mind. The mage cursed the Snow Boy. Snow Boy fell into the arms of the female knight whose injuries were gradually healed, causing her to be heartbroken. Enraged, the female knight investigated the murderer and finally fought with the evil mage, but lost to him. However, a passing righteous dragon disguised as a knight fought with the evil mage and killed him. The Snow Boy woke up. In the end, he married the female knight and found out that she was actually a certain noblewoman. To thank the dragon for saving them, they asked a famous master to carve a statue of the dragon in their territory and asked someone to write a story about the pure goodness of the metal dragon for future generations to admire. Shillong is very serious about movie making. He has repeatedly filmed many scenes, then selected the best one. He wants to make the best movie. There must not be too many mistakes. He can see that although dragons are willing to spend a lot of money to watch a movie, their tolerance for bad movies is far worse than ordinary people. So every movie must be of the best quality. The shooting time was more than 3 days, but Shillong didn't broadcast it directly this time, but continued to record other movies. He wanted to shoot a few more, then let Andre take them to the human world to make money. In the following month, all Shillong did was to make movies. A total of 9 movies were made, consuming all of his assets. In the days when Shillong was recording, it's worth mentioning that other dragons were also recording their own movie. This time they are very clever. Knowing that the quality of the movies they made is much worse than Shillong's, they decided to fight the price war. To watch their movie, only 3 gold coins are required. This naturally attracted many dragons to watch. The dragon that first brought down the price made a lot of money. However, the reputation of his works is still very bad. After all, Shillong's best quality movie so far is in front. However, this incident attracted Andre's attention. He had learned how to movie by watching Shillong's. Then after carefully recording it, he reduced its price to 3 gold coins. But there is still no dragon that wants to watch it. After that, he reduced the price by another gold coin. Although he felt heartache, as long as there are dragons to watch it, he will still have some profits. Unfortunately, still no dragon wants to watch his movie. This allowed him to see the gap between himself and Shillong. Then he became more honest. A few days later, Shillong's movie was released. He still uses the price of 5 gold coins per dragon, but many dragons are still coming to watch his movie. And all of them were very enthusiastic. 200 or 300 dragons came to watch the broadcast on the first day. After 3 or 4 days, one batch after the other, the entire island's dragons have basically seen it. However, Shillong did not rush to release the next movie, deploying the strategy of hunger marketing. This not only gave these dragons the time to digest what they watched, but to look forward even more for the next one. He decided to release a movie every 10 days, keeping these dragons in a state of anticipation and making them look forward to the next one. Over the next period of time, Shillong kept releasing movies at an interval of 10 days, making at least several thousand gold coins per each movie. This speed of making money has made a lot of dragon eyes redden, but their movies are incomparable to Shillong's. They could only watch Shillong make money and listen to other dragons complimenting him. They dropped the price of their movies time and time again. They even used many other strategies, all in order to attract more dragons to watch their movies. 45 days passed in this way. Part 2. At noon on this day, Shillong, who was still free, stayed on the top of the mountain to bask in the sun. A dragon shadow approached from the distant sky. Part 1. Chapter 47. She has gray bronze scales, blue stripes on her neck and abdomen, and strong, slender limbs. It's Nephiro. She quickly flew towards Shillong and Armin. Little brother Shillong, today sister is here to say goodbye to you. Shillong was startled. Why did she suddenly think about going out? She never mentioned anything about it before. Sister Nephiro, are you leaving Dragon Island? Why? Armin stopped rolling on his gold coins. He turned over, straightened his limbs from the pile of gold coins, and stood up. Obviously, he was also surprised by the sudden news. Both brothers have a good impression of her, knowing that she is a dragon with a lazy but carefree personality, also with a strong sense of justice. She often helps Shillong to deter other dragons while filming. Nephiro turned her head and looked into the distance. Her face had a serious expression. Of course, it's to maintain the peace of the world. The social stability of the outside world needs our metal dragon clan to maintain it. You don't know how many sins the human world has. Most importantly, I also want to have my statue in the human world for people to admire, just like the dragon in Snow Boy. At the end of the day, Nephiro looked a little envious and enthusiastic. Hearing her words, Armin straightened his neck, raised his head, and looked at Nephiro with a look of admiration. Sister, you are great. When I go out, I will definitely be like you. Yes, we are all kind and righteous dragons. One day humans will understand how much they need our help. Then they will build a statue for us willingly and give us their treasures. Nephiro looked serious. One big and one small dragon looked at each other with gleaming eyes, as if seeing the future where they will be worshipped and admired by all living creatures. Shillong. He felt that this is the fault of Snow Boy and other adventure movies recently. Many dragons on Dragon Island felt passionate after watching his movie. They are dreaming of punishing crimes and eliminating evil, being worshipped by thousands of creatures with their statues built in giant cities, causing them to leave Dragon Island one after the other. For this reason, Shillong's earnings have been gradually reduced. It seems that it's Nephiro's turn. This female dragon is filled with a sense of justice and determination to become famous. Do you have a specific goal? Where do you want to go? Shillong asked worriedly. He can't rest assured about this stupid elder sister going out alone. Not yet, but crime and sins are everywhere. I can fight crime no matter where I go, Nephiro said confidently. Are you going out with any companions? It's too dangerous to go out alone. Shillong is really worried this time. Nephiro hadn't reached the adult stage yet. She is just in her teenage years. According to the analysis of information obtained from Jones, about 17 years old converted into human age. Her strength is only around level 12. This strength is good, but it's definitely not enough. It's too dangerous to go out alone. No, I don't have a companion dragon. Of course I'm going out alone to punish sins. Hearing this, Shillong was worried like an old mother. Are these dragons idiots? Maintaining justice should also be based on their security. This elder sister is just about level 12, not much stronger than that weak chicken Jones. If she isn't careful, she can easily be captured and slaughtered by evil humans. Most people won't care if she is a good or evil dragon. All they care about is the wealth represented by the word dragon. She will be captured, killed, then skinned. Her body parts sold all over the continent. Shillong actually didn't know that the classification information he got from Jones was not entirely correct. This is all information compiled by humans. It's largely exaggerated by humans. To a large extent, even at the same level, the combat power of ordinary high-level monsters and dragons far exceeds that of humans. It often takes at least 4 to 5 humans to defeat a dragon of the same level. These 5 people must also have a clear division of labor and seamless cooperation. Just like a professional adventure team composed of a warrior, mage, healer, assassin, and archer if one-on-one. A level 12 dragon can even defeat a level 14 or 15 human. Furthermore, dragons can fly. Their escape ability is extremely strong, hence why not many people can kill dragons. As long as aren't stupid, dragons are extremely difficult to kill. Moreover, a level 12 dragon is already considered high-end combat power in human society. It's even harder to kill. In a human kingdom with dozens of millions of humans, there are usually less than 100 individuals possessing this level of combat power. However, Shillong didn't know this. Even if he knew it, with his super cautious character, he would still feel unsafe. He felt like an old father, worried for his daughter that is about to travel. Okay, absolute old father mentality. Shillong vowed that he didn't have any other thoughts. When her strength is so weak, how can she leave Dragon Island? Doesn't she know that all they have is just one life to live? He closed his eyes, pondered slightly, then opened his eyes after a while. The golden particles in his eyes shone. Sister Nephiro, Andre will be leaving in a month. How about you go together? He is nearly an adult golden dragon, so your safety will be greatly improved. He's going to send Andre with the movies he made to the human world in a month. Nephiro can just leave with him at that time. What? Neferu was shocked when she heard this. Her mouth opened and her eyes widened. Brother Shillong, are you kidding? How could I go with that scum? Impossible. Nephiro's attitude is very determined. From her expression, it can be seen that she considers getting along with Andre to be a shameful thing. Shillong frowned when he saw this. Andre, bastard, how bad is your reputation? Looking at Nephiro's expression, it's like stepping on shit. Please listen to me. Sister Nephiro, let me tell you, I've reached a deal with Andre and need your help. Shillong said bitterly. His scrunched brows on his immature face looked quite adorable. Alas, it's not easy to be an old father. I'm obviously helping her, but it's almost as if I'm begging her. Help! Miss Bronze Dragon's eyes lit up slightly. She likes to help other people the most. Speak up. As long as I have the ability, I will definitely help you. It's like this. Shillong talked about his cooperation with Andre to make money on the human continent. He said that he was a little worried about giving him prime authority. After all, the shameless guy wants to share 30% of the profit. In fact, even Armin didn't know about this. After knowing it, he was shocked. His face was filled with pain as he shouted loudly. Shillong, you idiot. You actually give so much money to that bastard Andre. That's 30%. 30% of income per person. Think about the humans outside. I heard that every kingdom has dozens to hundreds of millions of people. That's hundreds of millions of gold coins. Look at how much money we lost. Bam! Shillong's small fist tapped on Armin's head lightly. You idiot. How can you count it like that? Humans will never use 5 gold coins to watch a movie. Then this, you didn't tell me clearly. Armin was aggrieved. There are a lot of human beings. Even if it's 1 gold coin per person, it's still a lot of money. The price is not a gold coin. Ordinary civilians only earn 2 or 3 gold coins a year. How could they spend almost half a year of their income to watch a movie? I set the price tag to only 30 copper coins. What? Are human beings such poor creatures? Only 30 copper coins to watch every time. Armin was surprised. Think about us before. Our mother gave us only 2 gold coin per year, Armin. Yes, Viola gave them 2 gold coins plus 12 silver coins every year on their birth island. If it wasn't for Shillong's recent movie to make a fortune, wouldn't they be as poor as those humans? So poor that they can't even afford food. Armin didn't know that the price of meat on Dragon Island is overpriced. Are you going to take the civilian route? The price is okay. It should be acceptable to many civilians. As a true dragon that has traveled through the human world before, Nephiro naturally knows the general situation of the human world. Part 1. Chapter 48. Of course, I want every civilian to contribute those 30 copper coins to me. Only in this way can I earn a lot of gold coins. Shillong said seriously. So I need your help, Sister Nephiro. Before I go out to the human world, I'm planning to hand over all the movies I made and the right to use them to Andre. Damn it, how many gold coins do you have to give that guy? Armin gritted his teeth, feeling heartache at the number of gold coins that were spent. Nephiro was also a little angry as she said, "That would be too cheap to that guy. In fact, making money is not as easy as you think. A human kingdom has tens of millions to hundreds of millions of people, but they all live separately. It will not be easy for Andre to make a lot of money. After all, he can start basic development from one city. He has to solve a lot of troubles before the movie can be broadcasted normally. Moreover, I will develop a lot of other industries in the future that will have nothing to do with him." Shillong patiently explained to these two stupid dragons. After hearing his explanation, Armin and Nephiro barely calmed down. Armin squinted and started to fantasize about something again, most likely gold coins and treasures. Nephiro began to consider the question of helping Shillong and finally agreed. She is worried that scummy dragon Andre will be greedy for the money of her little brother, Shillong. "Sister Nephiro, I can't let you work for nothing. I'll give you 50 gold coins every month. How about you help me supervise Andre?" "That's okay." Nephiro nodded directly. "Just kidding. Even if she was offered 2 gold coins, she will be happy, let alone 50 gold coins. That's 600 gold coins every year. She has only 4 or 5,000 gold coins in her treasury. After 10 years of work, she will also have over 10,000 gold coins. That's the money that all dragons dream to have. Furthermore, she is still in her youth, not even a young adult. Having so much money at such an age signifies that she is excellent and promising." The more she thought about it, the happier Nephiro became. After discussing with Nephiro, he watched the other side leave happily. In the following days, Shillong continued to broadcast movies, but the income went from bad to worse. Why were these young dragons so stimulated by the inspirational quotes of the movies? As time passed on, the number of dragons continued decreasing. After broadcasting the last movie, the number of dragons on the island was reduced by at least 1 to 200. Shillong's income has decreased by 30 to 40%. For 10 movies, he originally estimated that he would get about 20,000 gold coins, but he didn't even get 15,000 gold coins in the end. He gave that kid Armin about 7,000 gold coins. These gold coins have turned into his bed. Every time, he sleeps till noon, and he doesn't even want to leave his golden bed. The fact that the number of his gold coins has surpassed the average young adult dragon caused him to be very proud. Every time he flies, he stretches his neck like a proud swan. Today is the 6th day since Shillong finished filming the last movie. Almost all dragons on Dragon Island have watched all of his movies. Outside Shillong's lair, 4 dragons were standing next to each other. Shillong, Armin, Nephiro, and Andre. Nephiro was looking at Andre with squinted eyes, just like looking at a dangerous criminal. Andre was helpless. He can't say anything. Just now, Shillong had told Andre that he can now go to the outside world to develop, but he must bring Nephiro as his supervisor. Andre complained many times that although his conduct isn't exactly correct, he is definitely a trustworthy dragon. The entire Golden Dragon clan can testify. However, Nephiro didn't believe him. She always kept a vigilant eye on him, treating him like a criminal. "Okay, I have explained the things that need to be explained. The development of our movie business in the outside world depends on you. I believe our business will prosper in your hands." Shillong said, "That's for sure. Just wait to count gold coins in the future. Your hand will cramp from the money that you'll get." Andre was very confident. Finally, the 4 dragons separated. After Andre and Nephiro said goodbye, the 2 of them flew in the air, Andre leading and Nephiro behind. Dragons have a keen perception, hence Andre can clearly perceive the scorching sight behind him, constantly going up and down his body. This feeling made Andre particularly uncomfortable. This female dragon is a bit too much. He twisted his neck around while flapping his wings, saying with a look of helplessness, "Don't keep staring at me like this. It's making me uncomfortable, you know? I promise Shillong, I must watch you carefully." Nephiro was expressionless. "You don't need to do this. I'm just in front of you, and I won't leave you behind, okay? No, I have to stay vigilant at all times. You will never be able to run or cause trouble in front of me. Hey, I'm going to get angry if you do this," Andre exclaimed. "Huh, it's my responsibility. Whatever you say is useless," Nephiro said angrily. "Okay, you are amazing," Andre huffed, a bit speechless at the stubbornness of this woman. Andre's speed suddenly slowed down, which shocked Nephiro. What does this guy want to do? He won't be planning to get rid of me, right? He is an adult golden dragon. If we truly fight, I won't be his opponent. Nephiro was a little scared, but she couldn't show it. Justice does not tolerate fear. She still stared at the golden dragon ahead with a look of determination. When the 2 dragons were right in front of each other, Andre suddenly twisted his head and stared at Nephiro with his bright, golden eyes. "Feel my scorching sight. This is how I felt before. You damn female dragon. Nephiro." The bastard scared me. I thought he was going to do something evil, but he just stared at me. Who is afraid of whom? You are older. I can't beat you. But can I stare at you? Thinking about this, Nephiro continued to keep her eyes wide open. The two dragons remained like this, staring at each other while flapping their wings, crossing a large distance while confronting each other with their giant eyes. 1 hour passed. 2 hours passed. Hateful. Why doesn't this female dragon blink? Am I going to lose to her? How can it be? I'm an adult golden dragon. Andre's eyebrows were wrinkled. In his originally bright, golden eyeballs, a few golden threads were spasming. They looked like humans' bloodshot eyes. His nostrils were wide open, leaking a golden-white mist. Opposite to him, the bronze dragon Nephiro was not much better. She stared at Andre with bloodshot eyes and gritted teeth. Justice does not allow failure. The two dragons stared at each other for a while. Suddenly, Andre screamed, his two forelimbs tightly guarding his eyes while shouting. Ah! Dirt got into my eyes. Damn! Otherwise, I won't lose. He couldn't hold on anymore. He felt that his eyes were extremely dry, starting to ache a little. Ha! I won! Justice will always win. Nephiro also covered her eyes, but she was happily laughing. She almost felt like picking up hundreds of gold coins in the street. All the way after that, Andre couldn't glare at the female dragon. He could only try to calm her down and persuade her. He couldn't really attack her, could he? After all, Andre is also a golden dragon with a strong sense of morality. The two dragons flew thousands of kilometers and finally reached the nearest coastal city, Halen City. This is the territory of the Marquis of Fury, and in the entire Starlane Kingdom, it's also a relatively wealthy city. Andre has traveled here before, hence he is familiar with the local customs. He also has many acquaintances here, making it very suitable to be a development base. Part 1. Chapter 49. Hylon City does not have a city wall. There is an inner city with a steeple in the middle, in which the Marquis of Raging Waves lives. Surrounding the inner city are circles of private houses. That's where ordinary civilians live. 2 to 3 million people are living here. Andre and Nephiro saw the city from a distance and headed toward an empty area outside. They landed 7 or 8 miles away from the city, then transformed into their human form and walked towards the city. Andre turned into a handsome blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy in his 20s, with a high nose, big eyes, and a sharp face. A very authentic European handsome guy. On the other hand, Nephiro became an energetic girl of about 16 to 17 years old with a high ponytail. Her face was not the face of a European woman, but more of a mixed race. Her figure is also very good. Both of them are wearing the precious clothing of the human world, with a thin sword on their waist and white gloves in their hands, completely like a human nobleman. Andre walked in front, and Nephiro was staring at Andre from behind. Just like that, they walked towards Hylon City. They occasionally encountered some people on the road. Most of these people were wearing very ordinary linen or coarse clothes. At most, they only looked at the two dragons for a while. The two of them didn't encounter the classic robbery scene. The main reason is that Hylon City, as the city where the Marquis of Raging Waves lives, has good security. Not all the nobles in this world are incompetent. From birth, they have a higher starting point than ordinary people. Moreover, nobles have multiple heirs, sometimes dozens, but there is only one title, hence only the best of their descendants can inherit the title. Although it's impossible to say that all nobles are excellent, they are generally better and more educated than civilians. They have been shouldering high hopes since youth. Whether it's warriors or mages, they must be high-level professionals. Therefore, the strength of the nobles is generally good. They are not something ordinary people can provoke at will. In the eyes of ordinary people, the two dragons must be the heirs of the nobles. Hence, they went unimpeded all the way to the residential area of the city. Inside the city, people can be seen coming and going, walking everywhere. Hawkers selling their products, children running and playing around, and various adventurers holding weapons walking around. Andre took Nephiro straight to the rich area. It is separated from the civilian area by hundreds of meters, filled with small and big villas and manors. Each villa is 2 to 3 stories high, surrounded by high walls. At the gate of each wall, there are guards in armor. The arrival of Andre with Nephiro naturally attracted the attention of the guards. Seeing the two getting closer and closer, the guard of a mansion in the way instantly placed his right hand on the hilt, shouting solemnly, "Stop! This is Lord Bolt Cutch's house. I'm Andre Claudius. Report my name to Bolt, and he will come out to see me." Andre smiled politely. Outside, he is a very aristocratic dragon. Those true dragons in Dragon Island despise him entirely because of the previous adult movies. Those fools! In the outside world, these movies are specially made for the nobles to watch. However, these dragons in Dragon Island regarded it as evil. They are simply unreasonable. Regarding Andre's words, the two guards did not dare to be sloppy. Andre's luxurious dress and calm demeanor all showed that this man was not an ordinary person. The two guards murmured for a while, and one guard said, "Please wait. I'll report it." The guard walked inside after speaking. The other guard stayed in place, staring vigilantly at the two dragons. Not long after, a wealthy-looking middle-aged man appeared. He was wearing an animal fur coat and a lot of gemstone rings on his fingers. His hair was a bit sparse, but it was well-maintained. This wealthy middle-aged man is Bolt Kutch. He slowly walked towards Andre along the marble-paved road. The guard who had previously left to report followed closely behind him. Before reaching the door, Bolt gently stroked his slightly bulging belly and laughed. "Your Excellency Andre, it's really been a long time since I saw you. I've been thinking about seeing you again one day. Your Excellency is still as handsome and elegant as before." "Your Excellency Bolt, I'm also very happy to see you," Andre said politely. Bolt laughed jovially. When he got closer, he looked at Nephiro for a moment and said, "Your Excellency Andre, who is this beautiful lady?" "This is the younger sister of a friend of mine. She's following me around this time." Bolt raised his eyebrows. He felt that the relationship between these two is a bit strange, especially this woman. She looked at Andre like looking at a prisoner, but he didn't think much about it. Turning over, he gently waved his hand, politely inviting them. "I see. Please come in quickly. Let's continue our conversation inside." "Thank you, Lord Bolt." Andre nodded and walked in. Nephiro followed behind. The three of them walked into Bolt's house. It's indeed a luxurious house. The entire floor is made of shiny marble stones. The crystal chandelier on the roof looked extremely gorgeous. The furniture is made of expensive fragrant wood, emitting an elegant fragrance around the house. The leather sofa is covered with white tiger fur. Many servants in maid outfits and tuxedos are on standby at any time. Bolt asked the two dragons to sit down. A maid came over with a delicately shaped teapot and filled the teacups on the table with a beautiful honey-colored drink, then respectfully handed it to the three. Bolt took the teacup and elegantly took a sip. "The two of you can taste this tea. This is our unique Hylon tea produced only in Hylon City. It's the favorite of the Marquis of Raging Waves." Andre was also not polite. He took a sip and praised it generously. "This tea is very mellow and sweet. Its fragrance is also excellent, lingering in the mouth and leaving an endless aftertaste. It's really good. No wonder it can become the favorite of the Marquis of Raging Waves." After Nephiro finished drinking it, she also nodded, expressing that it's good. "What brought you, Lord Andre, today? Let's talk. As long as I can do it, I will try my best." Bolt patted his chest and said confidently, "Your Excellency Bolt, the top tycoon of Hylon City, the leader of the real estate industry, I visited Your Excellency today, mainly because I want to rent a house from you." "Renting?" Bolt's eyes flickered before continuing. "How big do you want it to be?" "I want a big house near the inner city." "Ha ha. Since it was you, Lord Andre, who took a fancy to it, then I won't play with you. The monthly rent is 6 gold coins. What do you think?" Bolt nodded and said, "If it was someone else, he might raise the price and bargain with the other person for a while. But forget it, this guy Andre's valuation ability is too accurate. He always points out the lowest market price possible. It doesn't matter if he exaggerated its function or ability to the sky. Andre always knows the lowest market price." The two have worked together many times, and since the first time he experienced this embarrassment, Bolt never thought of earning an extra copper from Andre. All the things he sold to him are the lowest prices in the market. "Of course, Your Excellency Bolt is still upright. I didn't make friends with you in vain. That is, I, Bolt, am always paying attention to quality and low prices. You can always count on me." One human, one dragon, courteously and jovially signed a lease agreement. The two parties signed a 10-year contract, for which Andre paid 720 gold coins. Not to mention ordinary people. Even as an adult dragon, Andre felt a little distressed while paying. Nephiro was even more distressed. Her eyes widened to the maximum as she watched Andre pay. Part 1. Chapter 50. After the two dragons and Bolt completed the transaction, they went straight to the rented house near the inner city. This place will be their movie theater later on. This rental house occupies a lot of space, as big as 2 or 3 basketball courts, and is built with a style similar to that of a church. Two dragons walked inside, and as expected the inside is empty. But Andre didn't care about this. He carefully checked the whole house. Fortunately, there was nothing wrong with it. Then he went to the furniture store to buy a large number of seats. There are hundreds of them, costing Andre several gold coins. The cost of these gold coins will be deducted from the movie dividend later on. Andre decided. After buying the seats, Andre and Nephiro went back to the cinema with the caravan dispatched by the furniture store. The caravan transporting the seats used many carriages. A large number of seats were piled up in the iron frame behind, tied with ropes. There are several carriages in this caravan. When they returned to the cinema, they arranged all of these seats. Andre did not rush to get people to watch the movie, but waited slowly. He didn't start acting until the night was getting late. This place is close to the inner city of the nobles. The living standards of the residents here are much better than those in the outer circle. There are also many entertainment activities at night, and the streets are brightly lit on both sides. After a tiring day, a group of residents slowly walked in the street, relaxing and enjoying themselves. At this moment, Andre stood at the gate of the cinema and shouted, "Don't miss it when you pass by. Residents of Hylon City, quickly gather your eyes. There is good news to tell everyone today." This way of shouting is still relatively new in this world. It was taught to him by Shillong. The wandering residents immediately turned their eyes to Andre very obediently. After seeing Andre's clothes, they immediately pointed at him and started whispering, "Everyone, we are members of the Soderbergh Chamber of Commerce. Today is our first day in Hylon City. Our Chamber of Commerce brings to all residents something unheard of before, called a movie. Just sit and watch. You can see some legendary stories, which will definitely bring you an unprecedented experience. Because today is the first day, it's free to watch. But there is only one chance, and there can only be 100 people. Don't miss it if you are interested," Andre said loudly. "Movie? What is that? Have you heard of it?" "Never heard of it. It feels quite novel. Why don't we go take a look? It's free anyway." "Yeah, it looks interesting. Let's go and see." "No, I still want to go to the opposite street to gamble." A group of residents discussed. "That guy actually said that we can see legendary stories. Can we see it? Is it the legendary video on audiovisual stones? Does he want us to see that thing?" A young man whispered. After speaking, he couldn't help but the surroundings. Seeing several well-dressed and beautiful young ladies, he swallowed his saliva. This caused the women to cast a contemptuous look at him. Some of them even wanted to leave this dirty place. Andre hurriedly said, "Don't get me wrong. Although our movie uses audiovisual stones, it is definitely not that dirty movie. It's a brand new type of movie. Snowboy, everyone should have heard of this story, right? Our movie is the shooting of this story. As long as you see it, you will definitely think our movie is what Snowboy should be." "Snowboy? Realistic video story? I think I understand. Sounds pretty good. I really want to see it. I want to see. Get out of the way. Let me go in and see." Just as everyone was discussing, a young man suddenly appeared, squeezed the residents in front, and came to the front and said to Andre, "This is a rash man. Yes, you are the first one." Andre smiled and said, letting the man in. Andre followed behind him, but before entering the cinema, he looked at Nefiro and said, "100 people, look at them. Why should I supervise them? My duty is to supervise you." Nefiro said, "Your duty is to supervise me and see if I'm hoarding the company's funds. But we haven't got any money yet. It's free to watch. So why are you watching me? Work hard. You have work to be worthy of the salary you receive from Shillong." Andre finished, then walked in without looking back. Nefiro curled her lips with an uncomfortable look. When the remaining residents saw someone taking the lead, the atmosphere was immediately stirred up, and many people hurriedly followed. Nefiro counted until 100, then stopped everyone else that wanted to enter. Several men were a little upset because they couldn't enter, and tried to squeeze in even after the quota of 100 was fulfilled, but Nefiro stopped them. These men originally thought Nefiro is a small and weak woman, hence they tried to squeeze relying on their size, but the slender arms blocking in front of them were like iron pillars. Even if they used their maximum strength until their faces turned red, they couldn't move these slender arms by even 1 millimeter. Seeing that they were trying to enter again, Nefiro glared at them, causing them to almost pee their pants in fright. At that moment, they seemed to have come to the wild at night, besieged by a group of beasts, surrounded by green eyes. After the cinema was almost full, Andre went to the empty area in front and took out the audiovisual stone. He pointed the audiovisual stone at the wall, then took out 2 alchemical objects. Turning the audiovisual stone on, its projected light passed through the alchemical crystal and was projected on the wall in front of the audience. The picture was enlarged several times, and even the audience in the last row could see clearly. The sound was also increased by the second alchemical object, sounding clearly through the entire cinema. Naturally, Shillong asked Andre to use these 2 items while broadcasting the movie. Humans are different from true dragons. Their eyesight is worse. They will be unable to see clearly if the stone is a little farther away. Naturally, they need the assistance of alchemy props to clearly see and hear the movie. So at that time, Shillong asked Andre if there were any items similar to projectors and loudspeakers, but he didn't expect them to truly exist. This facilitates the road of the 2 dragons to spread movies in the human world. When the projecting crystal cast the contents of the small audiovisual stone on the wall, a handsome man appeared. Beside him are 7 short dwarf girls. The residents in the cinema couldn't help but exclaim upon seeing this sight. "Is this the audiovisual stone? Only the nobles are qualified to see it." "Yes, this is the audiovisual stone, but it's not only for nobles. Don't tell anyone, but I have seen it before. The content inside is very exciting. It feels really good. These 7 dwarf women are really interesting. That man is so good-looking. I don't think he is inferior to our Lord Polish. Quiet, everyone. This is the cinema. Everyone should be elegant and quiet like a nobleman. Andre looked at the residents who were about to quarrel and couldn't help but remind. When these residents heard that they must act like the nobles, they were mysteriously quiet. Okay, although we are not nobles, we can be like them. Everyone watched the movie quietly. Their mood fluctuated along with the plot on the projection. The warm daily life of the Snow Boy and the 7 dwarf girls in the early stage made them smile and feel a lot more comfortable. Many people who had troubles in the morning felt relaxed.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and give this video a like to stay updated on all the latest content. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. Share your suggestions for the next one. Just drop the name of the novel and the website it's on in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. Feel free to drop a comment.